Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Like I said, Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports TV.
Can't hear you, Flight.
What's going on, people? It's Flight Sports TV. I appreciate y'all for checking with me. I already know what it is. We're back with another one. Shout out to everybody that's rocking with Flight Sports. We had an unbelievable all-star weekend, ladies and gentlemen. It was spectacular, to say the least. You know, in my humble opinion, I thought it was all right. You know, obviously today we got to know, pretty much the national media fallout, and it doesn't seem too likable. In my humble opinion, people are very upset, but it is what it is at the end of the day. There's so many fallout situations. Guys are still on the move, ladies and gentlemen. Things are not finished. As you can see today, we had some big time, alarms that went off today involving Russell Westbrook. A lot of people feel like this is a good look for Russell Westbrook. I see Chuck Morris already in the chat early. Salute to all y'all that's in the building. Patrick Beverley on his way to the Chicago Bulls, to team up with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan and company to make sure that to see if they could stir the ship in a positive direction. Today, Stephen A. Smith, to me, he echoed some of our statements, today. Stephen A. made a nice little soliloquy involving Mr. LeBron James, involving did he ruin, the dunk contest? Did he ruin All-Star Weekend? Like I stated before, back in his prime, LeBron James, had an opportunity to rewrite and shift history. But it seemed like he went in another direction for whatever reason, and whatever reason we want to find out tonight. So I pose various questions to the world, to the chat, to everybody that's rocking with Flight Sports. We live, ladies and gentlemen. We about to get into it. Before we do that, everybody hit the like button. If you're new, most definitely hit that subscribe button. I got my man All Access in the building. Dex, talk to the people. We live.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Flight Sports TV, the machine, the voice of the voiceless, the people's champ, the hottest in these streets. Shout out to the panel as it reached its premium peak. And most definitely, shout out to the craziest and zaniest chat and all of this cacophony as it seeps from the crack in the crevice of the concrete of Flight Sports TV. And big ups to everyone who pulled up to witness and experience this exuberant moment here at Flight Sports TV as we close out All-Star Weekend and the moves to improve the teams that have participated in the buyout market. And we're going to see if it pays off or it's just a cover to save some hide that's on the fire grill and could cost them their jobs. But before we move forward, Flight, I would like to recognize a big boy in the NBA as well as the NFL world, the Texas billionaire that some of us known as Billy Joe, Red McCombs. Unfortunately, he passed formed today, and a statement was put out by his family on the Reuter Press and the AP. And just like to share a little light on the effects or the massive effects that Red McCombs had on the game that we admire and enjoy, basketball as well as football. That gave great opportunities to young men from minority communities, and basketball, young women from the minority communities. Red McCombs, a Texas billionaire who owned the Spurs twice. Very, very rare business move to own an NBA team twice in a lifespan. And not only did he own the Spurs twice, he also owned the Denver Nuggets as well in his 95-year history on the earth. The Vikings became his pride and joy, although he did relinquish the Vikings and then moved on into other business ventures. But Big Red was definitely a visionary entrepreneur who touched many lives and impacted the community in which he was born and raised. And also, he spreaded that love into the southern communities of San Antonio. He was once a part owner of the ABA, the Dallas Chaparrals, and he relocated the team, I believe, in 73, 74 season. And in that 74 season, he came up with a jewel in the rough or a diamond in the rough. In the 74 draft, third round, 40th pick, as he drafted this young Stickley man who was born in Detroit and had his tenure in college at Eastern Michigan by the name of one of my favorite players of all time, George Iceman Gervin.
Good.
And he ended up going to the Hall of Fame, of course. And he considered Big Red as a good mentor and a friend. When you look at the onslaught of his business dealings, Red McComb purchased the Spurs twice, sold them twice, purchased the Denver Nuggets, sold them, and then went into the NFL and bought the Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings was my mom's favorite team because it's purple. And that's my mom's favorite color, purple. But at the time that my mom was kind of watching the Minnesota Vikings, he wasn't the owner. It was called the Purple People Eaters. When he became the owner, he kind of changed it from being so volatile, Purple People Eaters, carnivorous, and he made it called Purple Pride, which my mom enjoyed as well. Red McCombs rivaled a lot of the business men of his day, the Ross Perot, the Tex, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, good man, old man Tex, and the Bush family, Prescott Bush and his boys. Those were a lot of powerhouses. Tex Graham, that was a lot of powerhouses in that Texas arena, especially in the Dallas arena. And some even said that Larry Hagman, aka JR of Dallas, used some of Big Red's business antics and flipped it into his script as J.R. Ewing. So this how much influence that this man had on the game. And he lived a full life of 94. He had over 400 businesses. And some of the businesses we might be familiar with because he was once a co-founder of Clear Channel Communication. And we know Clear Channel Communication has flipped into iHeart Communication. So big ups to him. He lost his wife in 2019. Now he's passed form and he has his children and his grandchildren to help live on his legacy. And one of the legacy that he have is a hallmark in the University of Texas as Red McComb Business School of the University of Texas. So this man have done wonders for the sport. I'm not saying he was a perfect individual, but at the same time, George Gervin, one of my favorite all time, the Iceman, the man with the finger roll, elongated finger roll, said he was a friend. So if he's a friend of George Gervin, I accept it, and this is why I'm speaking on it at Flight Sports TV.
Good call, Dex. Major key on all those statements. Definitely want to give a moment of silence. For him. It's definitely his Flight Sports, man. So yeah, man, we back with it, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in with us, man. We following the All-Star fallout, ladies and gentlemen. It was a lot of statements made today. There's a lot of players on the move. Things do not stop. I got my man Toxic T in the building. T was good.
Salute to y'all. How y'all doing tonight?
I can't call it. We cooling. We sitting here vibing and chilling, man.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on some of these claims, man? Before we get into it, man. Let's
Well,
talk.
number one, I did see today that I saw that Stephen A. Smith video on First Take. He definitely stole your lingo. Kind of make you feel like people be watching us a lot more than we realize, because he kind of said what you said word from word. It was kind of ironic in a sense, but yeah, Russell Westbrook going to the Clippers. I think that's a very good move for us. I think he can go and help win. Kawhi Leonard help them go to the postseason and make a good playoff run. I think that was a good move to have, but the Chicago Bulls going after, we got to go to Chicago, man. Chicago Bulls going after
Pat
Pat
Beverley.
Beverley.
They tried to get Wall. I think it was a sweepstakes. I don't know what happened.
This is why when the team shows you who they are, you can't trust them. You sign Patrick Beverley knowing you're at logjam at point guard. Why do that? Patrick Beverley's not putting up Caruso numbers. He's not even putting up Io numbers. So why Dragic, you have Dragic who's not even playing any minutes. So why sign another point guard? Like, can I say this?
Go ahead.
I think that Lonzo Ball will not be in a Bulls uniform. I think Lonzo's time in Chicago is coming to an end. It's not about time, Fight. We asked that question because you don't make this move like this. Not for no Patrick Beverley.
I don't want people to lose their minds. I
don't want to lose my mind either. But Fight. Well, let me grab those words and statements. Let me put it in a word blender. Let me say it again. I think that they're definitely frustrated at the fact that Lonzo is not playing. And people show you who you are when they get frustrated, when they get angry or upset, right? So I'm not saying that they're not going to get rid of Lonzo, but I'm saying what's going on here. Why sign Patrick Beverley? Why sign that? Why make the move? It just makes no sense. Patrick Beverley's going to move the needle for you? Then we had what's old boy's name? Myers Leonard signed with Milwaukee for 10 days. I don't know what that's supposed to do. But it's a lot, Flight. It's a lot. I don't know.
I feel you. I feel your pain. I just don't want nobody to go crazy just because Patrick Beverley was signed. I did state earlier today that, let's not forget he was just making a fool of himself in Los Angeles. Let's not act like they just brought in John Morant, or something like that, or a top point guard. They brought in Kyrie or something. This is really just another Band-Aid, that's not going to fix the true issue in Chicago. But I'm going to let everybody else speculate that this is a homer and this is maybe even more ramifications than we letting on. I definitely would love to hear it. I don't know. Dex, what's your thoughts on what the hell is going on?
Well, I don't see if it is a bad move. First of all, I mean, he is a Chicago native. He attended John Marshall High School. He's there to bring some ferocity to the court and the locker room, because what the Chicago Bulls is lacking, they're lacking someone to bark and to have these players be accountable. I think he's going to be more of the Rondo role, like Rondo's was with LA when they won their championship. You know what I'm saying? When he was there for those 2 years, where he was holding players accountable, and even Rondo was fighting out there on the court. He had Brandon Ingram throwing bowls, throw them bowls. You know what I'm saying? So the augmenting of Patrick Beverley to the Chicago Bulls, as this deal will be finalized tomorrow, I don't think it's a bad thing at all, because Chicago do need some type of a shakeup, and who not than a Chicago native, just like Westbrook was supposed to be to LA, that LA native that can come in and kind of shake up the locker room, but then he tried to own the locker room. Instead of shaking it up, he wanted to own the locker room, and that wasn't happening. Not with LeBron, and it's definitely wasn't going to happen with AD, because AD is their future and not Russell Westbrook. So he was out of his lane, but I think Patrick Beverley will be well within his lane. In order for Patrick Beverley to secure a roster spot on this Chicago Bulls team, the Chicago Bulls is going to have to waive somebody. Somebody's going to have to be waived. And it ain't Lonzo Ball. I don't know where these people keep getting this replacement for Lonzo Ball. I mean, this is atrocious and preposterous in nature for you to think Chicago Bulls is going to bring in Patrick Beverley, a 6'1" guard, if he's that tall, to replace a 6'6" and maybe 6'7" guard with elite defensive acumen. I mean, where are you equating Patrick Beverley replacing Lonzo Ball, and they sending Lonzo Ball out into the sunset? They just paid $84 million for this man, and he's injured, so they can't just move him, not while he's injured. So how you feel that Patrick Beverley going to be Lonzo Ball roster replacement, and you know they're not going to waive Lonzo Ball, but they're going to waive somebody, and it's just not going to be Lonzo Ball flight.
No, I know you're not gonna waive Lonzo. It's definitely some other guards. Well, I don't know what's going on with Kobe White. You know, I don't know what's up with his development.
He needs to go.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are, starting to time's ticking. So I'm with you. With somebody's going to be getting moved from Chicago, because it is a serious jam up there with the guard play. None of them are the fix. None of them.
Nope.
So this I don't know what Chicago was doing with this, but I guess they're trying to do anything they can to get to the postseason. That's all I could think of this.
Well, this is a move to help save Billy Donovan's hiney, because Billy Donovan don't have the arc to bark in that locker room, and players respond to it positively. They look at Billy Donovan and be like, okay, yeah, we hear you, coach, but then go out there and probably do the opposite. And of course, it's frustrating. And see, when Lonzo Ball was in the midst on the court with Chicago Bulls, he was a liaison. He was a buffer between two players that want to be the face of the franchise. But eventually they chose Zach, even though DeMar is performing like he's the face of the franchise. So that little friction with Chicago Bulls has basically created a civil war. And I keep saying this, but nobody don't want to talk about it. Not even Bulls content creator want to talk about the civil war. You follow what I'm saying? Between the two stars on the Chicago Bulls. And one of them made it to the All-Star and the other one didn't. The big money man didn't even make it to the All-Star. He didn't even make it as an alternate. But the other guy did. So that's another thing that goes on the resume of DeMar DeRozan. And there's another thing that doesn't go on the resume of Zach LaVine. His two-year run as an All-Star is over. Now he has to rebuild that All-Star resume to get on the All-Star team for next season. And when Lonzo Ball was there, these two was a shoe-in for the All-Star. It was a matter of who's going to start. You follow what I'm saying? So Lonzo Ball is the glue to seam this thing back together. We all know this, right? Lonzo Ball is a straw that stirs the drink. We all knows this. But since his absence, it's incumbent on Billy to make the adjustment, because it's not like Alonzo Ball would just absent for a short term, and it kind of shook the Chicago Bulls to the core, his absence. But Lonzo Ball been absent for a full season, and you have yet to make the adjustment. If any adjustment they made was worse than what they were already at. And I know where they went wrong at. I keep reiterating where they went wrong at. I keep espousing where they went wrong at. But guess what? It's falling on deaf ears, and nobody wants to repeat what is really wrong with the Bulls. And like I said before, they did two things that was detrimental. The first was changing the offense into DeMar favor as DeMar whispered sweet nothings in Billy ear. Trust me on this, Billy. You follow what I'm saying? I've been there. I done that. You feel me? And it was true. He's been there and he's done that. Zach ain't never been there. So Zach can't convince Billy of that. Billy's not that stupid. You follow what I'm saying? He's not that goofy.
But
So
he's
he
good
leaned
enough
on
to get-
Jamar. Hold on. He leaned on DeMar experience. And he trusted that Lonzo will navigate the ship in a way where Billy can have hands off. But this is the second mistake. During the COVID eruption and how it ravished the Bulls personnel, they had enough players to go in and play Detroit. Acme threw in the red flag, yellow belly style, and requested interruption, basically. Hold on. Can we get a reprieve? And you know what? The NBA gave it to him. Now, the Toronto game, I understand that's up north. That's six God. That's a whole nother country. So they have their own rules wrapped around the COVID situation. But in the United States, you were still able to play if you had enough players to play. And that was 7 or more players. 5 on the court, 2 subs. I think the Bulls had 8. But out of that 8 players, the 2 players that they hinged themselves and attached themselves to, DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, was unavailable. The only 2 players of star potential was Lonzo Ball and Vooch. And they settled on not playing that game. We don't trust you, Lonzo. We don't trust you, Vooch. We can't afford to lose a game. Even though if they did lose that game, it wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't have mattered. But I don't think they was going to lose because it was Detroit Pistons. And Detroit Pistons was in the sweepstakes for Chet Holmgren at the time.
Ew.
And they copped cheese. And it's been bad ever since. Because you don't trust the whole team. You only trust 2 players.
Right.
And we see the evidence of it.
At that point, Dex, what a great soliloquy. But again, you're right. He allowed DeMar DeRozan, a person who hasn't played good defense his whole career, to say, "Hey, Billy, let me come over here. I'm the best scorer you got on this team. I'll carry you. But with your coaching, we can win a championship," which was his first big mistake. But Zach LaVine hasn't played up to his contract, Dex. That's the second issue. Dex, do you think Zach...
Breaking news. Flight Sports TV, breaking news. We have a waiver signing. Kevin Love is officially signed to the Miami Heat along with Cody Zeller. Kevin Love is a Heat along with your man, the Indiana sensation, Cody Zeller.
I thought you... Oh, all right. Kevin Love, Miami Heat. Go enjoy that impressive Miami weather. You're Hall of Famer. I don't think that's a question. Hall of Famer. It's not a question. But I say this, Dex. I'm gonna ask you a question. Has Zach Levine earned his contract? Do you think he was worth the contract?
Well, I'm not gonna say what he's worth. But right now, he's not playing like the north of $200 million man that a lot of Bulls fans expected. Because C-Red has a legacy expectation. Don't forget that. This team has won 6 championships. And they have won twice. 3 in a row.
Third most rings in the
No,
The
they're not
third
the
most.
third most. Golden State. Golden State the third most.
How many Golden
They
State
behind
have?
Golden State have 7.
Okay, the fourth most championships in NBA history. So this is a story beloved franchise. This defense is abysmal. I, you got to get more defense. It just can't be Lonzo Ball and Caruso, and these can't be the only two playing defense for you. That's not these. It's not good enough. If you got to risk, I think they might have to risk some output to go get some defensive guys.
You know what? I agree. I mean, listen, the Bulls. I mean, it's hard to believe that you have a roster with Patrick Williams, Kobe White, Vooch that has yet to be signed. I don't even think there's any traction one way or another on the Vooch signing. Who has the leverage? Who don't have the leverage? Who wants him to
I don't.
stay? If Vooch want to stay, and they didn't make any moves. So why you keep having these iffies? Why you keep having these question marks? Why are you giving C Red this bullshit?
Also,
If you're gonna
Patrick,
keep if you're gonna keep these players, make it known that you trust them, you believe in them by signing them and getting that like water under the bridge. But yet you having it hanging in the balance, like what's up? This it just doesn't make sense. It seems like there's a lot of indecisiveness. I'm starting to think not only is there a civil war in that locker room, it could be a civil war in that front office.
I think so too. Because there's just no way. Patrick, I'm sorry, I'm telling Chicago Bulls. Patrick Williams is not your guy. He will never succeed in your system because you have two players that has the offense run through them, and outside of those two players, the other guy has to really create his shot good enough so he can be at least a successful contribution into this team. Patrick Williams will be a good player, right? But he's not a good player for Chicago now.
It's like this. Patrick Williams is starting to become a sentimental draft pick. Like, oh, we drafted in the first round, 4th overall pick, right behind LaMelo Ball. And now, when you look at that LaMelo Ball draft, you're looking at multiple All Stars in that draft. When so-called professional NBA pundits consider that draft as being one of the weakest drafts of all time. And man, are they wrong. You got Anthony Edwards, All-Star. You got LaMelo Ball, All-Star.
All-star.
You got Tyrese Halliburton, All-Star.
Yeah.
Not to mention, just put that little caveat out there. Well, there's another caveat there. There's another great player. Matter of fact, let's cut the crap. Let's cut the crap and actually pulled up the draft to make sure. I want to make sure that what I'm saying is correct, right? This is what was LaMelo drafted in 2020 NBA draft?
2020.
Yeah. All right. Let me just tell you, right? Because we know who's he's gotten, right? We know. Let me just give you some of these names, and you tell me what they've done. Right? We have LaMelo Ball, All-Star. Anthony Edwards, All-Star, right? Is Anthony Edwards an All-Star?
Are you asking or just rhetorical?
I'm asking.
Yes, he's an All-Star.
Okay. Patrick Williams, I don't want to go into that. Isaiah Okoro actually plays good defense and is actually helping his team out right now. Killian Hayes, Flights New York Knicks with Obi Toppin. Come on, man. Obi Toppin, great. Sadiq Bey. Look at what Sadiq Bey is doing over there. Was doing over there in Detroit. Great player. I could go on. Quickly. You know what I mean? When you look at this draft class, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good. You got a lot of bang for your buck in this draft class. Right? So, Patrick Williams Should have never been the 4th pick for the Bulls. You know, you could have drafted an Obi Toppin in that situation. You could have drafted a Tyrese Halliburton in that situation.
The thing of it, yeah,
Didn't want to.
the thing of that draft is that you have multiple all-stars in that draft during their rookie contract. It's similage, and to some degree, a minor replicate of the Lonzo Ball draft. How you had multiple all-stars before their rookie contract extension.
I mean,
So
the
that
first
just
5
shows you
picks were all
that
stars.
just shows you the mark of talent that both of these Ball brothers were engaged in or attached to in their respective drafts.
Right. Not to mention the first 3 drafts of the 2017 draft. Right? Well, the first top 5. The top 5 in the 2017 draft. 3 of those picks were all stars. Well, 2 of those picks were all stars. You have Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox. Then you had Bam Adebayo come up from both of these draft classes are so
And even from
great.
the bottom part of that draft class, Laurie Markkinen, he's an
Yeah.
all-star now.
You know, matter of fact, let's pull it up too. I want to just make sure my information is right. I don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't want to give up fallacies. So let me pull it up real quick. Just want to make sure. You know, it has 5 all-stars. Donovan Mitchell was in that draft. Dennis Smith Jr. was in that draft. Malik Monk was in that draft. John Collins was in that draft. OG Anunoby was in that draft. Kyle Kuzma.
Yep.
Josh Hart.
Yep.
Thomas Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean,
Isaiah. Isaiah kept getting injured. Was Jonathan Isaiah?
no, Isaiah Hartenstein. He got drafted.
Yeah, that's the Knicks guy, right?
Yeah.
Now I was talking about Jonathan Isaac.
Are you talking
He
about
was in that
Jonathan?
draft.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
Jonathan
was in that
Isaac.
draft, but he
But
kept
he
getting
didn't really.
injured. So
Thank you.
yeah,
He didn't get injured. But when you take out Markelle Fultz, the first 7 picks in the draft have actually competed in the
you can
NBA.
leave Markelle Fultz. You can leave him
Right,
because Markelle Fultz
Markelle
got
Fultz,
injured and he bounced back from his injury and
right, and
playing decent basketball.
right, and he got his new shot back, and he's resurging his career in a sense.
Mhm.
People were calling him a
Yep.
butts and writing him off.
Yeah, they
So
wrote him off too soon because they
the
really wanted to
first,
call Lonzo a bust. So they went ahead and called
when you do the math
Markelle
here,
Fultz just to
the
cover.
only player out of the top 14 picks, the only 2 people you questioned was Frank Ntilikina by the Knicks and Zach Collins. Luke Kennard hit for the Detroit Pistons. Donovan Mitchell hinted for the Jazz because he was drafted by Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Bam Adebayo hit with Miami. Malik Monk hit for Charlotte, despite what they want to say.
He didn't hit for Charlotte. No, he didn't hit for Charlotte. No, that was a disaster
Yeah,
situation.
he was a late bloomer.
Yeah, he
Fine.
did better once he
rephrase
went over
it.
to the Lakers and the Sacramento Kings. He did much better.
Let's rephrase it. Malik Monk now is a problem in the league. So
Yeah,
that's a successful.
yeah.
That's a successful thing. That's success. Laurie Marketing, the kid that Laurie Marketing, another Chicago draft pick.
Yep. But you can't use Laurie Marketing like Chicago because Laurie Marketing went to another team, then he went to Utah, and that other team he went to was Cleveland. Don't forget that he had some form of success with that triple tower, and then he went to Utah and became who he is right now. So when he
No,
left Chicago, he was nowhere near what he was
that doesn't.
in Cleveland, and then in Cleveland, he was nowhere near what he is now because neither
What
one of
we what
those stints was all-starish. So we
right?
got to keep
But
that in
we. I'm
perspective.
not saying he was an all-star. It takes time for people to develop. That's not what I'm saying, right?
He
That
wouldn't have never developed in Chicago. He wasn't going to
but
do what he did in Utah like he did in Chicago. Look how Chicago is constructed. He's playing the same position as Mark Williams. I mean, not Mark
hey,
Williams. Patrick Williams. They same
hey,
position. So if Patrick Williams ain't going to get developed, how you think Laurie Marketing going to be getting developed? That's why they
and
let
that's
him
not
go.
on. That's why you agree with what I agree on. That it's a Chicago that Chicago doesn't know how to develop young caliber talent in that system. When and honestly, if you wanted to like showcase Laurie marketing, you wouldn't have gotten
Because see,
you wouldn't have
Laurie
gotten
Marketing.
Vooch,
Listen,
in
listen.
my
Let me give
opinion.
you some insight. Let me get some insight because I don't want you drifting off into space. Laurie Marketing and Vooch was asked to do the same thing. So why play two players to do the same thing when you can play one who's an all-star and another who's so-called developing? You can send him off as an asset and incur more pieces. And lo and behold, you get DeMar DeRozan and you know in that little bunch. What's the name? Jones Jr. You know what I'm saying? Who's supposed to be a wing defender, what Laurie Marketing wasn't. So I don't blame Chicago for getting rid of Laurie Marketing. When if you're going to get if you're not if you're going to develop Laurie Marketing, then you don't draft Patrick Williams. You don't go out and fish Vucevic because Laurie is going to do that same thing, but maybe at a higher pitch than Vooch because Laurie's more nimble, is more faster than Vooch because he's more younger than Vooch. You follow what I'm saying? But you weighing the all-star leverage with Vooch over Laurie because Laurie was up and down in Chicago. He wasn't a consistent player. What Vooch have shown you in his Orlando days, he can be a consistent player and also lead a team, which when they brought him over to Chicago to help Zach Levine, because Zach Levine don't know how to lead a team. He still don't know how to lead a team.
I I, I appreciate the insight and I
I
get it.
agree with that.
I get it, you know. So I agree with you there. But what I'm saying is that I'm not upset. I'm just saying that they did all that for what? In the grand scheme, looking at it now, right? What was the point of even doing that?
Of doing what?
Of essentially letting and essentially trading Laurie Marketing away. When we look at his stats, it wasn't really that much of a drop off when they traded him from Chicago to the Cavs. It wasn't really much of a drop off when they traded him, and now he's developed and
Actually,
he's shined.
actually,
I'm
actually toxic. You have to look at it like this. When Laurie Markin was no more a member of the Chicago Bulls nation,
Mhm.
Chicago Bulls was the number 1 seed. They had risen. They had improved tremendously without the presence of Laurie Marketing. Only reason why a lot of them is laymating over the absence of Laurie Marketing because they see Laurie Marketing soar now and the Chicago Bulls drop. And I'm talking about a precipitous drop. They like fell off the cliff. So now they looking for straws to grab. You know what I mean? They look for straws to suck on. Oh, Laurie Markin, see, we traded him. We gave up on him. Blah, 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 blah. But, dude, when
Look,
Laurie Markin was with Chicago, y'all was putting a whooping on Chicago. When Laurie Markin was with Cleveland, y'all was putting a whipping on Cleveland. Cleveland only beat the Bulls, I think, once. And
right,
one of the times they played, the first time they played, they blew Cleveland out of the water. So
right, but also,
what are they gasping for, reaching for when it comes to Laurie Marketing? When
I mean, all
it
right,
first happened, Laurie Marketing was cool where he was at in Cleveland, but the Chicago Bulls was on the top of the heap.
that's all right.
Only one thing changed since then. There's only one person missing.
It's Lonzo, but this is a Laurie Marketing conversation.
But that's the point. That's where we getting at because they both was in the same draft. right?
Right.
One's an all-star, one's injured. One looked like he was on a cusp of being an all-star until his injury.
I
You
don't.
follow what I'm saying?
Right. I'm not trying to compare these two players.
No, we're not comparing them at all. What we're saying is that Bull fans are laymating over the absence of Laurie Markin. Why the Bulls trade him? Stupid motherfuckers. What you mean? Why the Bulls trade him? The Bulls is number one without Laurie. That was a good
True.
trade.
I mean,
It
but
was number one.
what I'm saying
Laurie
is
Markin ain't been no number one. He's
that's
an
not what I'm.
all-star. But as on the team he played on, they ain't number one. They ain't nowhere near number one. When he was with Cleveland, they was nowhere near number one.
All
Cleveland
right.
was the middle of the pack team, like 6 and 7, and they end up being in the play-in game. Right?
Well,
The Bulls still was in the playoffs, and Cleveland didn't even make the playoffs.
right.
They lost twice. Once to Brooklyn and the other to the Hawks.
Right.
So what do you mean Laurie Marketing? You understand what I'm getting at?
I get it, but I wasn't.
They need to
Well,
stop this foolishness. Put
no,
the
but
blame where it's supposed to be put at.
well, I'm blaming this Laurie marketing thing on the organization and or the development of the organization as well. Because when you look at his numbers, the year he was traded, which was the offseason of 2020 to 2021, his averages only went down 1 point. His points only went down 1 point. And when you look at all his other stats here, his free throws, his free throw percentage was still good. His field goal percentage was still good.
I think Houston, we have a problem.
So
When you
right
look at
here,
the way the Bulls is constructed, Toxic, you got
uh-huh,
to take in consideration. I said, when you look at the way the Bulls is constructed, you have to take in consideration the structure of the offense. You have Lonzo Ball, right? You're
right.
going to have Laurie Marketing. You're going to have Patrick Williams. You're going to have Vucevic, DeMar, and Zach. Out of all that, how you think Marketing is going to emerge as an all-star and all that?
Well,
I mean, you got to
clearly,
ask yourself.
it's not going to work.
Of
And
course
certain
not. That's why I'm saying
players,
it's a good trade. You feel me?
right? And
It was
certain
good to get rid
players,
of him.
like I said, you're right. Certain players, you know,
And
certain
Bull fans need
players
to stop.
need to defend. I don't understand. I'm with you. If they did the Laurie marketing trade and it hit for them, they were number one in the division when they traded Laurie marketing away, right?
Yes.
So I'm not mad at him in the grand scheme of things. In that instant gratificating moment, it
Good
worked.
good choice of words. Yes, it worked.
Oh, I don't mean to cut you off, Toxic. We got a new guy in the chat right now on the stream. His name is Dan B. What's good?
Yo, it's good, man.
What's
I've been on the stream before.
Oh yeah, you was here for the Lakers situation, right?
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
remember you. Hey, what's good?
How are you?
I'm good. Where you calling from again? So you remind the
From
people.
I'm from San Diego.
Shout out my man from San Diego, man. We appreciate you for tuning in with us, man. We definitely feel free to join in this conversation. Toxic, were you about to say something?
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
what's good, Dan? Talk to me, man. What's your thoughts on this situation? Let's talk basketball.
I was just gonna say, like, if you think about the Bulls' biggest struggles, I would probably center it around its front court, not necessarily its back court. I don't think Vucevic or Pat Will is the best front court in the league. I mean, Vucevic isn't a solid defender whatsoever. He's more of an like a offensive showstopper. That can hit the three. And then you have Pat Will, who hasn't really developed, hasn't really got his shot, but I don't think he's playing his position. That's the biggest issue right now. And to be honest, I don't think Markkanen really fit in with the Bulls. If you really think about it, I think Markkanen leans more towards the offensive side versus the defensive side. And if you look at the Bulls' struggles in the most recent games, they always carry this large lead in the first half, but in the second half, they just they're just destroyed. And I think it all comes down to defense. I mean, they traded for Derek Jones Jr. in a first round pick, but Derek Jones hasn't really been doing shit. So if I were the Bulls right now, I mean, yeah, you got Pat Bev, you got Alex Caruso, two great backcourt defenders, but what about your front court? I mean, if you go against teams with like the Knicks, for instance, how are you supposed to stop Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson?
That's
Or the
gonna be a
Cavs?
serious issue.
How are you supposed to stop Jared Allen and Evan Mobley? It's just
How
to
are you
me.
gonna stop Giannis if you can't even protect the like? Ask yourself these questions. Like, they can't even stop. They can't even stop Paulo Banchero right now. They're playing so bad.
Did you guys watch that game? I think it was Indiana versus Chicago. Chicago was up by 20 in the first quarter, and they end up losing to Indiana, who was on like a 5-game losing streak. That to me, that was fucking ridiculous. I've never seen such a thing. That's incredible. And I think Billy Donovan is a great coach, but I just don't know about this roster. I mean, yeah, Lonzo was impactful, especially last year, but at the same time, like, you have players on your team that can reach their potential, like Pat Williams. I don't really think he's gotten a shot. I don't think he's in the spotlight right now. I think it's all about Zach and DeMar, and I'm not too sure about that duo. I'd love to see what happens this offseason when Vooch is a free agent, when DeMar is on his last year of his contract. I mean, who knows? If I were them, like, I would definitely focus more on your front court versus your back court, because you got Lonzo Ball. Who knows if he's ever going to be able to play the way he played last season. But yeah, that's honestly my take.
Yeah, okay. We appreciate that, my brother. Also, I want to reiterate that the Chicago Bulls in the top 10 biggest deficit in losing the game, the Chicago Bulls is in that list twice. 24-point league, and I think the 21-point league.
And they're actually, and don't forget that third one. It's actually up there. Well, this season, don't forget the Donovan Mitchell game. They was up by 20 points that game too.
Yeah, but that could be the other game. I know they're in there twice for the biggest league. For the biggest league, then ultimately losing the game. They're in the top 10 twice for this season.
I gotta ask Dan a question. Dan, if you can hear me.
Yeah, what's good, man?
You know, we saw Zach LaVine get paid $215 million this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And just after seeing those games, do you feel as though that contract, that was he worth signing? Was he worth making that decision if you're the Chicago Bulls? Because what do you do?
Do you want my honest opinion, or do you want the NBA's opinion? Because I mean,
I want your honest opinion.
I think that's absurd that he's receiving that much money, but at the same time, if you look at Bradley Beal's contract, he's getting paid the same amount. He gets injured much more, and I don't think he's Zach LaVine caliber player. I think Zach does have potential to grow. I mean, he's still young. I believe he's 23, 24. He wasn't
not Zach. Zach is older than that.
Zach is older?
Yeah, Zach's around 28.
28, but yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Zach was younger. Damn.
No.
Shit,
devil's
he's
advocate,
27.
and to play devil's advocate.
Shit, man.
Bradley Beal has actually made it to the playoffs the majority of the bulk when he was in his prime, and also he's played defense in big moments to help that team in big playoff series.
Yeah, but
Zach has never done that.
problem is Bradley Beal is injury prone player. I mean, if you look at his recent years, he's been playing like under 50 games. He's just very inconsistent as a player overall. I mean, recently the Wizards have been looking so nice. I feel like they got something. They're just missing couple key players to fit those holes. I think the point guard position can do some fine tuning. I think if they acquire a great point guard this offseason, they definitely got potential. They re-signed Kristaps. I'm a huge Kristaps fan. I think he's a great player overall. I really like Kuzma. Kuzma was my favorite Laker before he got traded, but it is what it is. But yeah, looking at Zach's contract, I mean, no, obviously he's not worth a 5-year, $200+ million contract. That is absurd. And if I were the Bulls, honestly, if they're definitely not making the playoffs this year, I can tell you that for sure. They're definitely not going to make the playoffs. Am I looking to rebuild? Honestly, that might be a possibility. If you really look at it, you have Nick Vucevic going to opt out, probably going to leave. I can see him definitely leaving. And where does that leave you? You have an injured Lonzo Ball. You have Zach LaVine. And then you have DeMar, who's probably likely to leave as well. If I were them, I would trade Zach LaVine this offseason or the following season, because it's not just a numbers game in the NBA. It's your efficiency and who can honestly lead a team. You have Shea, whose roster is absolutely garbage, but they gel.
Right, and he's a leader.
I don't know if their roster is garbage.
No, he's a leader on that team, and not to mention the fact that the rookies over there, Jalen Williams, he's playing pretty good.
He's a stud, and also Josh Giddey.
Right, and
so they're not
Chet Holmgren
not
hasn't
garbage.
played yet.
But that's the only 3 players you really have on their team. Everyone is just no names.
What about Dort? You don't consider Dort anything?
But hey, sometimes
Dort as well.
And sometimes hey,
you got 4. You got 4. But yeah, but man, like, are you guys surprised how far they've come? Honestly, I'm shocked because I thought I thought they're gonna be a lottery team 100%.
I'm not. Because Shea been doing this. Shea was doing this last season. This is not a shock.
Yeah,
he's been doing this the last couple years in OKC. And Josh Giddey came out on the scene last year. It's the fact that when Chet Holmgren comes, and I believe he's going to be healthy next season, if Chet Holmgren is exactly how he is from Gonzaga with a better shooting percentage, that team is going to be a problem. They will be the Sacramento Kings of this year.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, whoever they end up drafting as well, it's going to be scary. Do you know who I'd love to see go to OKC? I feel like Pascal Siakam would be great. I feel like
I like that. I think Pascal would be good too.
I was watching the All-Star game yesterday. I saw like Shea and Pascal like talking and everything, and I was just like, I mean, Shea's from Canada, Pascal was in Toronto, but who knows? Who knows about their future?
Or you never know. Shea could be trying to go over there to Toronto.
I was gonna ask you guys some questions. What do you guys think about post-trade deadline? I'm more interested about the Toronto Raptors actually, because I feel like they made some bold moves. I just wanted to get your guys' insight.
Well, what move did they make that you feel was bold?
I mean, they decided to keep Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent, and OG, and then they traded away like 5 draft picks for Jakob Poto. So I'm just a bit confused because you got 3 players on expiring contracts who are probably trying to receive a max. I would say Fred VanVleet. Maybe not Gary Trent, but I think he's in the 20-25 million range, and Jakob Poeltl as well in the 20 million range. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts, opinions, takes.
Well, I think Jakob is a good move for the boys up north, Six God, the Dinosaurs, because they OG needs someone on the side of him that can just focus on guarding the rim and being offensively effective in the restricted area while he kind of, spread it out a little bit. I think putting all the onus on OG would be a big mistake. Now he has relief. He has Jakob. Jakob is a very disciplined player, and I believe his IQ is up to par. He's been under the auspice of Greg Popovich for a few years now, and I just think he's ready to spread his wings, and Toronto is a good place to spread them.
I have to disagree with you over there, because personally I feel like the Raptors made a huge mistake. You got Memphis and New Orleans offering them 3 first-round picks. You had Memphis offering them Dylan Brooks and 3 first-round picks, which was kind of absurd that they didn't accept that offer. And then I'm not a huge fan of Jakob Poeltl. I think he's a slow player. He's terrible on the free throw line. And I just don't know. I don't know. You have Precious Achiuwa and Chris Boucher, who are great 2 solid centers. And I just don't think that they fit. Everyone fits on their team. I think they need to get rid of Fred or Gary Trent and start something different. That's just my take.
I'm gonna say, I will say this because Masai
See, that's some bullshit, Marquez. No, I'm just fucking with you. Go ahead. What's up, man?
Damn.
I just came in with the heat. What's good, Marquez?
But no, I said Masai Ujiri. You have to understand, Dan, Masai Ujiri takes a lot of big risk, and every single move he's made since being in an offense was a big risk. Signing Kawhi Leonard, who was deemed labeled injury prone at that point, was a big risk, was it not? And he won, and he gave Toronto a championship. Allowing Fred VanVleet to start to cook on the Golden State Warriors in Game 1 of the Finals was a risk that he knew he had to take. And by him getting Jakob Poeltl, how you say his last name? Poeltl?
I heard it's like Portal, but it's pronounced.
I'm gonna call him
Jacob
Jakob P.
Just do your best.
Just do your best. It's like if you said turtle. It's turtle, but with a P. Turtle.
Exactly.
Poeltl. Okay. Jakob Poeltl. And by getting Jakob Poeltl,
perfect.
By getting him, he brings shooting. And with this team, they've been lacking shooting the entire season.
What do you mean he brings shooting? He's a center. He shoots 50% from the free throw line.
Right.
How does he bring shooting?
50. I'm going to explain it. He brings shooting in many different ways. Sometimes the 50% at the line, in my opinion, is very good. Especially getting that from a big man. Because most big men, especially your centers, majority of them maybe shoot 40%, 30% given. And these are regular centers, not the superstars that we're talking about today. But I'm saying, like, let's talk about it. Him against the what's his name? Not the he just played against the Magic like 5 days ago, did he not?
Yeah, Wendell Carter.
Yeah, I think 30 points is pretty decent. I think they won that game. I think their problem was they needed a guy who can create his own shot or potentially dominate in certain moments. And you might not get consistent shooting from Jakob Poeltl, but he's very intelligent. He plays great defense as a big. And not to mention, by getting Jakob Poeltl, it's also a plus because Jakob Poeltl has developed himself and has grown in the Popovich system. People forget that the Popovich system hasn't developed big time names. It developed Tim Duncan, it developed Tony Parker, it developed Manu Ginobili, and it developed Kawhi Leonard. And so by doing so, we also have to give respect on Popovich's system. And I've seen Jakob Poeltl play. His defense, how he creates his own shot, will do well in the Raptors. I think they can change their season around with this pick.
You forgot Vinny Del Negro.
I have to disagree with you over there. If you've been watching Jakob Poeltl, he's a slow defender, bro. He is so slow, bro.
He's a big. He's a center.
Big. I've watched games. Where he's just hogging. He's just sitting in the paint, and he's just. That's why. Look at the Spurs' record, for instance. They have a terrible record, and they allow the most points in the paint out of any team in the league. So
Dan, would you
that's
take
not all Jakob Poeltl though.
I mean,
Dan, would you take Jakob Poeltl or Yusuf Nurkic?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not a fan of either, bro. I'm not a fan of either.
Well, but no cap.
Gun to your head, you gotta choose who you picking.
I would say Nurkic because he has more playoff experience.
Wow.
Tops.
I mean, I understand why you say he's slow. The
only thing about Nurkic is I don't think he fits in Portland's system whatsoever.
He doesn't.
That's the biggest issue. They should have traded his ass. He should have been long gone.
They tried. Right. They shouldn't have re-signed him over the summer. That was the big problem.
That was also stupid. But I mean, there weren't too many great free agents. I think someone who would have fit in Portland's system would have been like someone like JaVale McGee.
I thought Beef Stew, small ball guy like Beef Stew.
Nah, I think JaVale would be perfect because he's a great offensive rebound, great shot blocker. I feel like he's just been underutilized by Dallas, and it just bothers me like crazy.
You know what? Everybody's always had JaVale in an ancillary role, though, man. He's never been a featured player, and there must be a reason for that, don't you think?
I mean, he won a championship for the Lakers. He is.
Don't forget Golden State championships.
And Golden State.
2 times, to be exact. 2 times. But he won it back to back, not to mention.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought he was integral, but he doesn't get starter minutes and he doesn't get featured.
I mean, Dallas has their own system, which it's pretty complex in my opinion. They play the small ball, and they don't even start. Have you noticed that they haven't even started Christian Wood since
Shout out to Blazer Carpenter Jr. Talented.
And they're starting Dwight Powell, which I think is pretty dumb, but I mean that's just my take.
Right.
I think I don't know. We'll see what happens in the offseason, but I mean Toronto had assets, man. Toronto had assets, and I mean
Toronto don't have that much assets like that as you think.
Yeah, they do. They had 3 players on expiring contracts. I mean,
this season people wanted Toronto's assets for sure.
Are you joking?
Season.
Like you could have gotten.
No, what I mean by that is
for Gary Trent, you could have at least gotten a first-round pick and a solid role player, because you're not going to win a championship with that roster. 1,000%.
Again.
1,000%.
But there's not coming. I'm trying to take it because you're saying it from the fans' perspective. I'm trying to get from the minds of Masai Ujiri's perspective.
That's
Masai Ujiri's. From Masai Ujiri's perspective, that championship team he won with Toronto, let's take out, you had what? Kyle Lowry, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam.
Marcus
right? Gasol, and okay. It's an okay for that. Gasol is an okay for that.
And Serge Ibaka.
Ibaka is an okay for that. You could argue, right, that Marc Gasol is very slow, and Baca is even much slower than Pirtle. If you ask me, and they still managed to succeed. Their center in the championship game was big and slow. Marc Gasol, and they got it done because the system that Masai Ujiri puts into place is not meant for you to have a big athletic big. The big just got to play good defense and create his own shot when he has the opportunity,
Right.
i.e., a Marc Gasol.
Right. And listen, that's
So
all
why not
wonderful for the
Jakob
boys.
Pertl in this
Hold on,
situation?
hold on.
Hold on, I'm not even done landing. Go ahead.
We're giving them too much. We're giving them too much airtime. We know Toronto ain't going nowhere. I mean, it's not that deep.
Airtime for sure, bro.
But
Let's
you
just
know
move
what?
on.
I trust in Missouri. But
Okay.
segueing
That's
with that, Kawhi Leonard and Missouri was a great combination. But is Kawhi Leonard and Westbrook a good combination? If you insert Westbrook to amalgamate all three heads, Westbrook, Kawhi, and Paul George, is that formula for success?
I think it all depends
Yes.
on Westbrook.
I don't know, Dex. I don't know.
Yeah, yes, that is.
It all depends on Westbrook.
Yeah, that's a horrible factor. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna say
playing
no.
Russian
It ain't gonna
roulette.
work. It ain't gonna work. I don't think it'll work.
Okay,
What do
that's
you
a
think,
strong
Dex?
statement, Zen. No, you need to explain yourself.
I mean,
Why it won't work?
fifth team in 3 years or 4 years. We got
Okay.
20, less than 30 games, like 23 games left in the season. How in the world could it work? You got like one of the most dysfunctional players in the NBA in terms of turnovers, in terms of
IQ.
distracting his team in certain ways, basketball IQ. The only way it really works is if he has a dominant like LeBron, and even with LeBron, he couldn't function until they put him on the bench. He's going to want to start, and we saw what happened when he started. It ain't going to be no easier playing with Kawhi and PG than it was with LeBron.
Reggie Jackson is gone, so they're
So
going to
he
need
can
something
start.
there, right?
He can start, and you saw what happened last year when he started, right? Now you got him in the starting role making turnovers instead of coming off the bench in a limited role making turnovers.
Well,
It ain't
but he
good
don't
for
have
Russell
anybody to
Westbrook
interfere
having
with.
minutes.
I mean, I know Kawhi could be ball dominant, but we also seen Kawhi get off the ball. So,
Yeah,
because we seen, and he won a championship playing off the ball because Lowry had the ball in his hands majority of the time.
they're not heliocentric players like LeBron, so it's a better fit for him. LeBron needs shooters around him. You need to put LeBron basically on the elbow or let him drive and let him find his teammates for open shots. That's not the case with Kawhi and Paul George. They're slashers and wing players who can hit jumpers and threes. And so you don't need one of them down low or one of them driving and kicking. You need them to receive it more or less. So Russell Westbrook could play the part of drive and kick guy. He could play the part of, pass to the slasher, pick and roll. But him and Zubac in the pick and roll doesn't really scare me. I'll be honest.
Right, I agree. But you got a championship coach and a championship player who's the coach, and Tyronn Lue. And guess what? Tyronn Lue was a championship player as a point guard.
Yeah, but Russell, man, I don't know. He's been through changes, and we did see him get humbled. So we may have a new version of Russell Westbrook that we never had before. And that's the best hope, because he had to get humbled. And he did. He definitely got humbled. So that's my thinking about the fit in L.A. I think he'll be a better fit for the Clippers than he was the Lakers, but ultimately he's clumsy and has a low basketball IQ.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. Most definitely, that's the safe route.
Yeah.
I believe the Clippers have improved with Westbrook. I mean, now Kawhi, to some extent, don't have to exert so much to put the Clippers over the hump. Westbrook is a one-speed player, and that was the Clippers was lacking, that type of upbeat player with a lot of energy when the game seems to be coasting, Westbrook can take it coast to coast, no problem. And there's nobody to really feed it down low to because he don't have to get a ball to Zubac like he would Anthony Davis or a Thomas Bryant when Thomas Bryant was a Laker because the Lakers kind of fed off of that low post game to some extent. You follow what I'm saying? And LeBron didn't want to run up and down the court like that because look at LeBron now, his toe hurt. So he wasn't trying to run. There's nobody on the Clippers, I think, will hamper an up-tempo offense led by Westbrook.
But that's their style of playing. That's something that you have to understand. That's their style of playing. I mean, PG and Kawhi are shot creators. I think they don't really need they honestly didn't really need John Wall in the first place when they signed him. I mean, do you think Westbrook is going to take over that John Wall type of role? Possibly, but I just don't think he's an efficient player overall. Look at his plus and minuses. I think it was like a negative 0.8. He didn't really do much for the Lakers. I don't know if he's going to do much for the Clippers as well. I think he just needs to be tamed, and I think he just needs to be put in his place once and for all. But we'll honestly see what happens. I mean, I watched that game. I watched the Clippers versus the Suns. They're playing so well. They honestly didn't need anyone else on their team. But who knows?
I mean, you can't really predicate it on one game. You know what I'm saying? Because if you know Ty Lue and his style of coaching, he's trying to look for the long haul. He's trying to look for when he gets into a series with a team and they lock in. Could they lock in if the Clippers are able to play multiple style of basketball?
I don't know, man. But then they called Russell a vampire, a locker room vampire a week ago.
But that's in LA. I mean, that's in the Lakers. That's different.
Yeah,
Clippers have all kind of. Clippers got vampires, lichens. They got all kind of shit over there. You know what I'm saying?
But it translates into picture. I'm sorry if you watch those games. There's so many like subtle disputes between Braun and Westbrook that are off camera. I mean, if you watch every single interview, Lakers just seem entirely defeated, and then you have Westbrook like smiling, acting like he doesn't give a fuck. Come on. He doesn't. He's not a championship player, bro. He's a stat chaser. And if he doesn't get his stats, he's obviously gonna bitch.
Getting those triple doubles was the worst thing that could have happened to him.
That's right. That made his brain inflated. Like he's just like that guy.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, this past off season, everyone hyped him up like crazy. They're like, oh, Westbrook's gonna come back to his natural form. What did we see again? He was fucking worse. He was going to
be sixth man of the year now. Don't forget that.
Went to the bench.
And he still can be sixth man of the year.
He was going to be sixth man of the year. Stringers. I mean, dude, that's rigged. That's rigged. I'd rather take Norman Powell than Russell Westbrook for sixth man of the year.
Norman Powell doing his thing.
You playing over with second stringers. I'm not impressed. That's why you're able to do as well as you're doing now, because you're playing against the second string.
Every sixth man of the year played with second stringers. So what did that mean?
Right, but we're talking
not necessarily.
About
Jordan Clarkson.
No, it is. Jordan Clarkson do play with second stringers. When he come in, who's coming in again?
He was closing lineups. He was in the closing lineup.
I'm not saying Westbrook closed lineups too now. A lot of Lou Williams closed lineups. We know what he was doing at six man.
You mean Lemon Pepper?
Lemon Pepper Lou. Yep. Montrezl Harrell closed lineups for the Clippers. I mean, come on now. Don't this Russ, because he was in the runnings for six man a year and reducing that premium reward.
Not premium. Premium is nuts.
You went from 2-time MVP or 1-time MVP to
six man
of the year, bro. That's bad. That's really bad.
Well, I mean, look how many years Russell been in with alone. 14 years, 15 years in the league. That's shabby.
If I'm Brooke, I'd focus on my brand
You know?
I think that's what he's doing. Shoot, what do you
Focus on
mean?
your
That's why you got to
fashion,
get the
Russ.
job.
That's probably why he decided to stay in LA, because he's like, oh shit, I just opened up the store,
Mhm.
honor the gift. On
Yeah, I got a lot of
Fairfax,
pink stuff in there. You know, I
And
got to stay
focus
close
on
to
my
it.
fashion.
Right. Zen, I'm very excited, y'all. I'm very happy.
Who do you think? Who do you call winning it all? Because for me, I can see.
Take
I
it
can
easy,
see the.
CW, Sun
I see
Valley.
the.
Take it
I
easy.
see the Suns, bro.
I still got Boston.
I got the Suns.
I think Boston's too deep for just about any team to handle.
Dude, I think the Suns got it all. I mean, who the fuck is guarding KD?
We
Devin
ain't talking
Booker.
about KD from 5 years ago anymore. I mean, he's still KD, but he ain't KD no more.
Right. He ain't KD. He ain't, you know
Yeah.
who I am, KD.
He ain't,
He's
he
not
ain't,
Slim
you know,
Reaper, KD.
he is 34 years old. Don't forget that.
Right. Come on, man. I'm nervous because
I'm
I
just
respect him
saying.
as a player, but I'm not. Man, I'm not that scared. It's a difference.
5 years ago,
I'd be crapping my pants 5 years
right.
ago,
Oh my God, that's too much
but,
information.
but now, now
he'll still light you up, but
it's a
back
slight
then,
burn. It's like having
yeah,
heartburn, but it's not the point where it's making you go to the hospital.
ain't like it was.
But see, one thing about KD, he's gonna bring up the morale of your team, right? And he's not gonna get in the way with anybody because KD is always a seamless fit based on his skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Paul going to up his assist level. I'm quite sure Chris Paul might be reinvigorated
Yeah,
by the
Reinvigorated?
it's gonna help
presence
Chris
of
Paul.
KD.
It's gonna help Chris Paul
Reinvigoration?
tremendously. I like that. I
You
like
like
what
that?
they have in Phoenix. I won't be mad if they do win it. But I just, I'm a Boston head. I'm a Zen fan. I'm a Tatum fan, Brown
1K.
fan.
Oh, talking about
So,
Tatum in his 55 record scoring All Star
my
points.
boy. What I really wanted to do was talk about the topic of the night was did LeBron James ruin the dunk contest? And I'm gonna say no. No, he
He
did
didn't.
not. I disagree with all
Yeah,
that.
that's what
After I done
Light was talking
been
about.
I've been back and forth all day. But 6'9" is not a good height in the dunk contest. It's never been. It's
Now you
never
better
been.
ask Kenny Walker. Obi Toppin.
Right.
Obi Toppin 6'9"?
Yes.
About 6'9", 6'10".
I thought he was 6'7", but usually
Oh
bigger
no,
guys
he's
don't
taller than that.
bigger
I
guys
seen him
don't
in
do
person.
that well. Like Tom Chambers was probably the last really big guy I
Yeah.
remember doing that well.
Tom
The dunk
Chambers.
contest.
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Who are you?
Tom
Tom
Chambers,
Chambers?
no.
Who?
What
Yeah.
about
7-footers?
Rayman?
He wasn't no 7-footer though. I'm talking about a 7-footer.
Rayman is 6'10".
Sean Kemp was 6'10", 6'9", yeah. Tom Chambers was going back and forth at that time.
But you
That
just
was
said 6'9" is not a good enough height, but Sean Kemp.
Yeah, but that's an exceptional 6'9". I mean, not that LeBron's not exceptional, but he's not an exceptional dunker.
I think
So his dunk package is
Dominique
weak.
Wilkins like
His
6'8".
dunk package is weak, and he's 6'9", and it just
Doesn't look.
I think smaller guys have a better chance because their elevation shows way more. People look at big guys
Right.
like, oh, you're just big.
I mean, you got to be extraordinary, right? If you're going to be a
Right.
big guy dunker, like the Dominiques, the
Right.
Rainmans, the Larry Nance Juniors, the Connie Hawkins. You know what I'm saying?
And this
You
is
got
part
to
of the
be.
perception
Dr.
with
J,
Giannis.
Dr. J 6'9".
Part of the perception with Giannis talks is that people look at him as, he's just big. I mean, it takes a lot to do what he does. Don't get me wrong, he's skilled, but people discount what he does because he's big.
Hey, and guess what?
I think Dr. J was like 6'7".
All right, and guess what? Then they can discount it. People can discount a lot of. They can discount all they want to, but as long as the results are there, you can't deny that.
Kevin
He's
Durant
doing.
talked his
People
shit.
doing.
Oh
John
my God,
Morant.
Sky
Again.
is in the building,
Uh-oh.
starting stuff already, being a provocator.
Listen again. People.
Sky, you got to
I hate when
tap
people
in,
say
bro.
no skill. No skill. It's crazy. Now, when people start saying no skill, it's kind of like, okay, you can say it's boring. You can say it's just simplistic, but no skills.
Limited skills.
Hey, I
Pay
don't know how
attention
let
to
me.
CW. He
Hey,
needs to change his name. I
He
think
can
we're
dribble,
gonna
run, and
listen.
dunk, and lay up.
Toxic T and CW Sun Valley needs to sit in the tree and really talk about it.
No, I don't. I'm a buck jumper. He's a sun jumper.
That's why
Period.
y'all need to talk about it.
Period. I'm a Bucks jumper. He's a sun jumper. Period.
Y'all just need to be brothers and leave it alone.
No, screw him. I don't like him as a Nets fan, and now he's a Suns fan. Oh, I hate the Suns too. Screw him.
Oh boy, no,
with
you wrong
you.
on that, CW.
Who
Giannis
could
ring
hate
doesn't
the
mean
Suns?
Horry rings. Horry earned them rings.
Who could hate the Suns?
And Giannis,
Lakers fans.
yeah, Dex, don't do that because Giannis earned his ring too. Don't do that.
No, but I'm just saying though, we know Giannis earned his ring because he led the team, but he can't equate it with Horry.
People, somebody comparing somebody's rings to Robert
Horry got
Horry.
7 rings. How you going to compare 1 ring to 7?
And to think, Zen and Dex, I just hit 1K views on a video on TikTok.
Oh, yes,
shit.
nice. Talk about it. What was
Talk
it about?
up.
I was doing my little
Oh
rant.
my God, you and Raven, y'all rants.
People, no, they just love the rants, man. TikTok loved the rants, and I just said, let me just post it. It was about the whole DoorDash situation. I said, I'm just tired. I said, you ungrateful goofies, just find another job. I was going in then. One got 1.1, like 1.16K, and the other one got like 978. I got like 48 likes on the video. I'm like, yo, wait a minute.
Keep up the good work until you go viral.
Bro, it's like,
CWE in the chat talking wild shit.
Yeah,
right
he's
now,
having
but,
a spasm.
Hey,
Listen,
listen.
CW, this is a warning.
You know-
You keep going on with this trauma, we're gonna put on some rock and roll music.
he's
This is
definitely
Giannis
having
some
wouldn't even be-
biased
So y'all in the
Suns
chat,
fan
y'all
that's
better warn him.
irrational.
Yeah, he's
Giannis
definitely
wouldn't be
having an
top-
episode.
Giannis wouldn't even be top 75 if he didn't
And
have
I'm talking
Kyrie.
about that rock and roll music
What the
that
fuck
they
is he
kick
talking
people
about?
off the stage and beat them up and throw them in the crowd and jump on them. That type of rock and roll music.
ZW Bed-Stuy. You want an episode? So I'm gonna give you an episode, Goofy. You're just mad. You want to know why you mad? You goofy, ungrateful, idiotic, mediocre takes, bum of a YouTuber chat. You know why you're upset and mad? It's because Kyrie Irving left your goofy ass.
All right, I'm gonna be the voice of CW.
So much to the point. Nah.
You mad?
He can come
You mad?
on
I have an
this channel and speak
opinion.
for himself.
You
Speak
mad?
for
I have an
himself.
opinion. Giannis top
Speak
80
for
all
himself.
time. Giannis top 80 all time. You mad? I got an opinion.
I'm not mad at you got an opinion, CW Bed-Stuy. I'm calling you a goofy because you just can't. You spent 20 minutes of 4 or 5 months saying I'm a buck jumper. Listen
I
with
believe
that
what I
crap
say.
you
Keep crying. I believe what I say.
want. Keep crying.
Keep
Hey,
crying. I believe what I say.
CW Sun Valley. Until you show your face, until you come on this panel, it will be vitriol, and I will continue to hit you with these shots until you come
Giannis
up
ring,
on here.
Giannis ring don't count.
I'm
Giannis
so
wouldn't even be
emotional.
top
Hold on,
75 if
time
he
out,
didn't even
time out.
hurt Kyrie.
Hold on, Jen. I'm so emotional, but you spent 20 years. We had to put you on APB. We had to put you on a literal talking about. What are you talking about? I'm so emotional. Nigga, you was emotional when Kyrie made that trade deadline. You insecure son of a... Relax, Toxic. Relax, Toxic.
See that?
Relax.
I'm doing my best, man. I'm doing my best to
CW
represent you.
Bed-Stuy. Stop the name calling. Screw him. If he calls me emotional, he's a flip-flopping,
You're so emotional.
KD wearing, Kyrie loving, jock strapping Nets fan. Because that's what you are. That's what you are.
And Bed-Stuy always talking about my Lakers. At least I stay on board. You know what I'm saying? Like
I ain't never changed my name. This man changed more names than a used car salesman. And yes,
I ain't reading that on
CW,
air, CWE. I ain't reading that on
CW,
air.
listen,
Hey,
CW.
hey,
CW, you
CW,
are
hey,
a
hold on.
posterior
Hey,
oscillator when it comes
Hey,
to
CW,
KD.
guess what, CW? Guess what? I am fat. I do like to eat. I love eating. And guess what?
I'll admit
And
I'm
guess
a
what?
KD
Since you want to
fan.
call somebody fat, there's nothing you can say. Because when the fat man sings at the end of the season, with holding up that trophy with Giannis, you can kiss it and kiss my. Matter of fact, I don't have time to talk to you, peasant. Kiss my ring. You haven't.
Listen,
You will pretend
we
I
have
don't
to call.
lose.
We have to call.
Kiss my ring, chump. Kiss
We
my
have to
ring,
call
peasant.
CWE from what he
Kiss
is.
my ring.
He is a posterior oscillator when it comes to KD, and we cannot get around that. We understand. We
But that
really
makes him a
thought
hypocrite.
you was a. Hold on. We really thought you was a Brooklynite. Come to
No.
find out, you just going all around the world
chasing KD.
KD and smelling his poop.
Matter of fact, he's not a fan. He's a D writer.
Posterior oscillator, you.
We call those boys dick writers. Because that's what he is. You can call me fat and disgusting, but at least I'm not a dick writer. And I mean that respectfully.
Can't get this on Player's Choice.
Hey, you can call me fat. It doesn't matter. I love being fat. Like it, and again,
CW,
like
it,
and hold on,
my players wear suspender belts don't fit.
And Dex, and guess what? Like it, love it, or not. There's nothing you niggas can do about me.
Hey,
so still number
Talon.
one.
Salute Talon, man. Your channel been fire lately, bro. I see the work you're putting in. Keep putting it
Salute
in.
to you, brother. Salute to you. I get on my. Oh, for sure.
That's just, let's not forget.
Oh, for sure.
I know you're going at Marquez.
No, let him go. Because when I'm really finna do it to him. I'm really finna do it to him.
Hold on. It's not that serious.
Oh, it's not that serious?
All right. We have to remember that CWE is KD's posterior oscillator.
Dad, stop trying to be polite. He's a dick writer. He's a KD dick writer. There's nothing you can say about that.
I'm ashamed of you, CWE, when I see that Suns Valley.
There's nothing you can say about that. He's a DR.
DDR.
He rides this man jockstrap so much, you can't even tell. Is he KD or is he son?
Marquez, he even changed his profile
his name
picture
to CWE Suns Valley.
But
he changed different logos.
Yeah, his logo.
You can't make this shit up. But he just said 4 or 5 months ago, I'm a buck jumper, so I shouldn't even do it on my mind. CWE Bed-Stuy, you're
God, CWE.
You're goofy. I don't like you. I can't stand you, and I hope I see you niggas in the playoff so I can sweep you goofies. That's what I want. Bring it, bruh. Bring it, bruh.
Happy Black History Month.
Bring it, bruh. I might be fat, but you can't come touch this. You call your fat and run. I'm fat and you run your mouth. Step on this panel, bro.
Okay.
Step on this panel, bro.
Okay. Step on
this panel.
Let's chill out. That's
all right.
Yeah, don't know. Yeah, just slow down on all the cursing.
I'm not cursing. I'm just saying, like,
my bad, man.
Let's chill out.
Right, you know.
Okay, let's get back to basketball. Okay, we had our trauma.
Right.
We had our trauma. We done spewed out a lot of hateful jargon, slogans, vernacular, and all that other crap. So let's get back to the Russell Westbrook signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. Is that going to move the needle? Either way, is that going to help fill the Inuit Dome, the $2 billion masterpiece that's being built in Inglewood, California? Do Russell Westbrook name carry enough weight to get that arena rocking?
Hell no. He a drop in the bucket at this point.
Anthony Alvarez says, of course.
Russell Westbrook's reputation has been destroyed by LeBron James. Now that's what LeBron James did destroy. That's what he did destroy.
Thunder said Westbrook make their shooting worse. Anybody agree or disagree?
1000%, yes. He makes every singles team's shooting worse, except in Houston. Actually, I forgot what that coach was. What's his name?
Take it easy, CW.
Oh, fuck. Who is the Rockets' old coach?
Before Silas? Dan and Tony.
Yeah. He told Westbrook to stop shooting jumpers and just drive in the paint. And I think he was averaging like 46%, 45%, his field goal percentage. I think that was his highest field goal percentage, but he just needs to be instructed. I wish Lakers had Quinn Snyder as their coach. Because he would fucking rail Westbrook. He would bench his ass for the way he's been performing on the Lakers.
So you think Quinn Snyder would have right the ship of the Lakers?
A
college coach?
Oh, shit.
college coach. I wouldn't say that. I think he's more of a player developer. I mean, he's
But who is going to develop on the Lakers? The Lakers are filled with stars.
not necessarily Austin Reeves, Max
Oh, come on,
Christie,
that's one player. Don't do
Max
that.
Christie,
Don't do
um,
that. Come on, you digging
Leonard Gabriel.
really deep now. I mean, I understand there's a treasure trove, but there's nothing down there. All the good stuff is up top. So they don't
Y'all
need
on
a
a holding
developmental
pattern.
coach.
Y'all not holding
They need
pattern until LeBron's done, man.
I mean, listen, Quinn Snyder was notorious for being an asshole. Like everyone knows that he was hard on his players. That's the type of coaching you need. You need someone to be hard on their players.
You can't be hard on Anthony Davis and LeBron James. How?
Right. That's why
You
you're in
can't
a
bring
holding
that college
pattern.
mentality there.
All the power is in LeBron's hands till he's done. So it almost don't matter who your coach is, to be honest with you.
True.
Maybe that's why Spider-Man wanted to leave.
That's why a lot of people didn't want to play with LeBron. to be
No,
honest with you.
Spider-Man wanted to leave because of Gobert. And guess
Well,
what?
maybe that's why Gobert wanted to leave.
Yeah, too. He definitely didn't.
I
like
mean,
Rudy.
they were fighting in the bubble. We all know that.
Yep.
Yeah, because he gave him COVID. That's why. I will fight too. Shit, nigga, you try to kill me.
He gave it to a bunch
Coughing
of people,
around,
too.
coughing on everybody, wiping your hands. I mean, wiping the snot off your nose and not putting. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't the sanitizer thing wasn't hitting in.
Yeah, but it was unforeseeable. You couldn't really detect.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But he was
Yeah.
doing a whole lot of that foreign shit in the locker
Joking
room,
around. He was jokey with it.
You know what
he
I'm
was. He was a little cavalier.
touching on
Pardon the
people.
pun. Yeah, he's just a little cavalier.
He got the whole NBA shut down. One man. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I was pissed off at Rudy Gobert. And then Lonzo
Lonzo
had the game
definitely
against
was.
Sacramento, and they called that. LiAngelo had the game over at the Oklahoma City Blue. They call that. I mean, good gracious, man, who you working for? Gobert with his French tactics. You know them Frenchies. You know them Frenchies are freaky and nasty at the same time. Oh,
Rudy.
I appreciate that. I'm actually French.
Hey. Oui. Jean-Pierre. Ça va?
I love you. Do you think the Gobert trade was the worst trade of all time?
I don't know of all time.
Not even close.
Because that's what people are saying right now.
Yeah, because they're recency bias.
It's true.
I think the
Rudy's
worst
still
trade.
Rudy.
I think one of the worst trade of all time is sending Olden Polynice to Washington for that first round pick in the Chicago Bulls against Scottie Pippen. Shit, the rest is history. I mean, look at that. Look how that turned out.
Yeah.
What about the Luka for Trae Young pick?
No, because neither one of them won anything. With that Scottie Pippen, it flipped the balance of power in the NBA for years.
Someone keeps on saying in the chat the Houston Rockets are coming.
Gotta be talented.
Coming when?
Oh, yep, talented.
Yeah.
They're
Next
coming and
year.
going before they even
Next-
start coming.
In about
When
2
are they
years,
coming?
3 years.
You give them 3 years. I give them maybe 4 or 5. If they can develop a Kevin Porter Jr., then yes. If they can't, then no.
No, they need an actual superstar, and they don't have that yet. Not even close, not remotely.
And
close.
I don't think that Jalen Green's going to develop into that superstar. I think
I don't think so either.
he's just
OKC
been.
is coming.
Yeah, I see OKC. I see Orlando.
Now in Orlando, that's a different story.
Yeah, they're pulling up.
They're more ahead of the curve than the Rockets.
Orlando gave
Like
Boston
millennials.
fits this year. For sure. Gave Boston trouble
Rockets are
twice.
just trying to learn how to play basketball, according to Coach Silas.
I think Houston has a problem with drafting overall.
Who did I say? Orlando? I mean the Rockets. According to Coach Silas, the Rockets just learning how to play basketball. Those young guys just learn how to play basketball. They're flying up and down the court like a track meet. And then once they get more familiar with that aspect of basketball. Then you can probably teach them some X's and O's.
Do you guys see anything happening in Charlotte?
Oh my God. I was just
Another
having a
shit
nice day.
show. Another shit show.
I mean, not until they can get rid of Gordon Hayward probably at midseason next year. That'll help them a lot because he's taking up a lot of money. And they got some young talent like Nick Richards coming up. Of course, LaMelo is their solid star. Get
I like
Terry
Mark
Rozier out.
Williams. I like that guy, Mark Williams.
Yeah,
starting at center.
The rookie.
Yeah, he's not bad.
I like him.
I don't know about the rest of the roster. I mean,
you got to get Terry. You got to get Terry and Gordon out of there. Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward. Got it.
And PJ Washington. I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan of PJ.
I don't know, man. PJ got numbers to back him up.
I mean, bro, you got numbers for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, but he's
playing
solid.
For the Charlotte Hornets. He's solid. He's shooting like 42%.
His numbers are relatively solid. I looked anyway.
He's shooting like 42%. I don't think.
What is the Charlotte Hornets waiting on?
I have to look at it again.
When it comes to PJ Washington, what are they waiting on? Because PJ Washington, I don't think is going to get any better skill set wise. He could improve his. He could improve his efficiency, of course. But as far as skill set wise, I think what we're looking at is what we're going to get when it comes to PJ Washington. Now, the Charlotte Hornets are waiting for what? I don't know, because you can sign PJ Washington at any time. You can go ahead and give him a tentative offer. But yet, I don't even think they've done that. Because there's no report that PJ Washington turned down any kind of contract offer that will extend him with the Charlotte Hornets. It's just confusing. Like, what direction is this team going? Who are they going to stay with? Why is so much question mark over such a dud team?
I think they're waiting on. I don't know if Miles Bridges is coming back to the league, but I think they might be waiting on him.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. In recent days, Mitty have came out and spoke and gave the organization perspective and outlook on Miles Bridges. And he didn't rule out that Miles Bridges will come back, and he didn't rule out that Miles Bridges won't come back. So right now, we're basically stuck in the middle of the Miles Bridges saga, and the NBA is still investigating Miles Bridges' behavior, bad behavior, and has yet to determine a length of a suspension, because the Charlotte Hornets organization is definitely expecting a suspension on Miles Bridges, but they just don't know how long. And maybe that's why.
That's when they sign him. That's if any team signs him.
Mm-hmm. Somebody gonna sign him.
Yeah, and I don't get why everyone's so apprehensive to sign him, but I do and I don't. I mean,
depends on if he gets jail time or not, which he may very well get. It's a felony charge. It's not a misdemeanor in this case.
I mean, but he's fighting that.
No, that's over with. No, that litigation has been settled. It's over. He received his sentence. He pleaded no contest, of course, and he escaped jail time. So that's the main thing for. No, I don't think they reduced anything. What they did was, since he didn't contest it, they just basically rule you as a guilt. You know what I mean? As guilty. Yeah. That's how normally in the court system do. If you plead no contest, then they kind of say that, you know, they lean towards a guilty, right? Yeah. And what they determined was probation. I'm quite sure his wife probably wasn't going to testify against him. You know what I mean? And they couldn't use the child as evidence.
I don't know,
maybe picture wise.
On the recording, the child was heard on the recording.
But how we know that came from him? Maybe how mamas could be. Mamas could be,
Yeah.
they could be very
Oh, don't
vindictive.
I?
Yeah,
Don't
but
I?
didn't
I'm saying?
his wife show up like unannounced
That doesn't even matter.
through his like side gate?
You still can't put hands on her. She's a human being,
No,
and women are more fragile than men. And he's a
that's post.
superb athlete.
No, that's post the incident. That's way after the incident. She came over to his house.
I'm quite sure they do. They put a restraining order on you, and then they come spy on you. See what chick you messing with. You know what I'm saying? See if one of their friends. You know how it go down in that type of arena. With these superstars and got all this money. Could be one of her little friends that they met that he might have met at a party, or she came over to do her hair or something like that. You just don't know what might have happened. But whatever happened, it caused him to explode. And that bad behavior should never be rewarded. Should be always punished. And he got away.
The same thing that just happened with what's his name? Brian Forbes. He got released and then he beat his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. That's what happens.
Fucking ridiculous.
What about the guy you played with the Seattle Seahawks? He beat his girl to a pulp. He thought he killed her. And she woke up from unconscious state. And he was like, damn, I thought you was dead. You know what I'm saying? So things happen, man. In football, I know the CTE thing is a real thing. So I don't know if he used that as what you call it, as a alibi. But I think he went to jail. I think he got jail time for his. Yeah, I think he got jail time for his. But Miles Bridges escaped. So I'm quite sure it's for you to escape jail time in California after 1994 for domestic violence. The case might have been shaky because OJ messed it up for anyone, whoever is involved with domestic violence, especially male on female. You know what I'm saying? Because you always have male on male domestic violence. You got female on female domestic violence because that's the nature of California, if you know what I mean. So Brittany Griner, she's an example of that, that domestic violence, but it wasn't in California. I think that was in Arizona. But the thing I'm trying to say is that from 1994, and that white Bronco, as it went across that highway for several miles, and then finally he got arrested, and he was charged allegedly for doing what he did, even though he wasn't found guilty, thanks to Johnny Cochran and his dream team.
If it doesn't
from that point forward, that has been a taboo. And somebody's going to jail. I'm talking about on site. They look and see who got the most bruises, who clothes are ripped up, is any blood. Whoever looks to be the victim is going to jail, whether you're the victim or not. You're going to jail. And then they let the court sort it out. And for Miles
it's
Bridges,
the man automatically.
Yeah, most likely it's the man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
well, in most cases, it's the man.
No matter what happened, they're taking the man 9 times out of 10.
But I've seen them say, you know what? Just leave the house. We're not taking you to jail because look like she hit you upside the head with that pan and that skillet. So just leave the house. Let us go to the ambulance.
Take her ass to jail.
I know, but I'm just telling you what I've seen. Go to the ambulance, let them pat you up, and just leave the house and don't come back within 24 hours. If you come back within 24 hours, we're taking you to jail.
Somebody hit me with a frying pan. I ain't coming back, bro. That's easy.
He was like, dude, I'm leaking. Take her to jail. You know
coming back. You ain't got to worry about
like, well,
that.
Then they say, well, we take her to jail, then we got to put the kids in custody. You know what I'm saying? So they was like, so we don't want to go through all that. You know what I'm saying? Just let her stay here with the kids. You leave for 24 hours, go to your parents' house, your homeboy house or whatever. And then after 24 hours, you able to come back.
The kids can come with me. How about that? The kids can come with me.
No, they wasn't doing that because the kids already patted in the residence.
Now, why is she getting all this preferential treatment?
Hey,
anyway,
I don't know.
To basketball. See, we're going in a whole other direction, Dex, and we could probably talk about this for hours.
Well, it extends to Miles Bridges in his situation.
Yeah. But it's not fair that they always get all the privilege when it comes to shit like that. And then,
okay, but I'm gonna ask you this right here.
You're pretty much guilty no matter what you did.
Of course, because you're the man, you're the power figure there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna ask you this then. Why would Miles Bridges plead no contest?
Because he definitely did it.
There's
He did what he
physical
did.
evidence.
There's physical evidence.
Wait, you said what?
His
physical-
son is on a call. There's physical evidence. I mean,
You can't. That doesn't enter in court. That's not going to be entering in
a
court.
911 call doesn't enter in court.
Dismissed evidence. Huh? Now that will be, but not the son.
Well, the son
Because
was on the 911.
you can make a child do that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty sure he was on the 911 call. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was.
And he's too young to even allow his situation to be permitted for evidence unless it was a severe beating and the child had bruises and stuff like that.
That's the other thing. If the domestic violence is committed in the presence of a child, it's an additional. It's a kicker.
But psychologically,
yeah,
you know, it's very difficult to use a child's testimony to convict an adult. Very difficult.
Well,
especially as a witness, you know what I mean? Now, if it was directly on the child, like some type of abuse in one way or another, then the evidence on the child would be used as admissible in court.
Well, I hope
admissible in court.
I hope that they're
not a child talking about,
together.
I seen him do my mama like this. I see him do. No,
Yeah.
you can coerce a child.
I hope their family stays together, and I hope their family gets all the help that they need to never have physical violence in their relationship or emotional violence in their relationship ever again. I hope the best for the Bridges family.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I'm quite-
the damage is
go ahead.
done already.
It is, but you can. I mean, life is long, man.
You can't really rectify. You can't really rectify an occurrence that's so severe and so tragic. I've never heard of such a thing. I mean,
Unless I have.
I've lived in
because
the
I've
black
seen it.
community.
Exactly.
And,
There you go.
Most
There
of
you
us
go.
in the black community, we know this
They
shit
kiss
ain't
and make
that-
up.
Yeah, it goes on, and
I'm gonna
it
tell
goes
you
on
this,
in white
Zed.
communities too.
but he almost
Yeah.
killed her. That's the problem. He almost killed
Yeah.
her.
This shit goes
But
on.
we don't
everywhere,
know.
man.
We don't really know how much damage was done, but we know damage was done because sometimes women are very smart. Because Miles Bridges is a multimillionaire. We don't know if she could inflict some of the wounds on herself based on the nature of getting back at this man cold-heartedly and then putting it on footage.
Rap
follow
God
what I'm saying?
Reloaded. Rap God
That's why
Reloaded
you go
just
to
made
court for this.
Rap God Reloaded just made an excellent point. Ray Rice is still with his wife, and we haven't heard about another incident since, right? Chris
Yeah,
Brown and Rihanna had that incident when they were 17 and 18 years old. You haven't heard about Chris Brown putting his hands on a woman since he's 33 years old.
Rihanna also fought back. That was another.
Actually, they say
Rihanna the one that put hands
started
on
it.
Chris Brown. Yeah,
Yeah,
she won't
and that
put hands
girl's-
on Chris Brown.
That
She was
girl's
the one
almost
who was
6 foot tall. She ain't no
was the
little girl.
initiator. That's the problem. That's a whole different. That's just
Right,
not
yeah.
like a.
He should.
That's not
He
a
had to
precedent
respond
I
better
would
than that.
use.
But he's a kid. He was a kid.
Yeah, but my point is that anybody can slip once. I slipped once. I'll be honest to all y'all. One time I slipped. Maybe y'all slipped out there. I never hit my wife or nothing like that. But I slipped, right? And never did I think it could ever happen. Never did I think it would be me. But that shit
They know how to
happens.
push buttons. They
and
know how
you
to
go,
push
whoa.
buttons.
You're either the kind of man who goes, whoa, I didn't know I was capable of that, or you go, whoa, I'm Ike Turner.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah,
I'm
I
think
going all
that's-
in now. I've been wanting to do
Right.
it for a long time.
Right.
But
So,
listen, I don't see
most
situations
of
where,
us ain't Ike Turner. Put it that way.
but I'm gonna put it on the sibling side. I done see my sister get in a domestic violence case. I
Yeah.
interceded, right?
Mhm.
And the way I interceded, she ended up calling the police on me.
For getting
And
physical
I had
with
to
him.
explain to the police what the hell happened.
Yeah. I mean,
know what I'm
that's
saying?
you hear that a lot about people who try to intervene.
I was
in
like, told my
domestic
sister, I would
violence and-
never ever defend you again.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm
And
saying?
that's what happens in a lot of situations where, people step in the middle of domestic violence and they wind up being the enemy of both people at the end of the day because they're gonna get along.
Yeah, they're
used to
gonna get
fucking and
along. They're
fighting.
gonna make more babies.
Exactly.
Since that incident, they had 2 more babies.
Yeah. So people just live like that, and it ain't right. You would hope that they would, it would stop at some point, but we ain't all on the same level. That's all. We're not in the same place and thinking the same way, and it exists.
So I said, never again. You almost put me in jail.
Bro, you find yourselves putting your hands on a woman once, you better not ever, ever, ever in your life let it happen again. Because I think if you ever let it happen again, you on that path.
Yep. Because at the time that she was being a victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I interceded, she didn't want her guy leaving the house. You follow what I'm saying? Come to
Yeah.
find out, that's what some of this was all about. He wanted to leave and go do his thing, and she didn't want him to leave, so she picking a fight with him, and they end up getting
Mm-hmm.
into a fight, and then of course he has to, do what he thought he was right to save his manhood, but he did it
Yep.
in the presence of me, and I'm looking like, wait a minute, dude, I'm here. You can't do
It
this to
don't.
my sister. Are
It
you
don't
out of your
matter,
mind?
right? Yeah, it don't matter who's right or who's wrong at that point. It just don't.
So
You
yeah,
know.
so he ended up staying at the crib, and I ended up damn near in the police car and told to
Right.
leave. And so she got her wish, right? He
Yeah.
stayed home.
He stayed home,
She sacrificed her
bruised,
baby brother.
maybe bruised a little bit.
Yeah, and had more
You know.
kids. Insane how
Lesson,
people think.
lesson learned. But you're not condemned once you make a mistake. You're not condemned to repeat it for the rest of your life.
No, no, because like I said, none of us are perfect in our thinking, and
No.
sometimes we can make irrational decision on impulse, especially if we're not emotionally intelligently trained. And that's why I read the book Emotional Intelligence, which is a very good book,
Me too.
even at the
Me
age
too.
that I am now. You follow what I'm saying? And matter
Yeah.
of fact, the cat is out of Oakland that wrote the book.
Yeah. I read it
So
too.
yeah, so you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things that you never even thought about that's circulating in your head that can
Mm-hmm.
push you over the edge, or you can recognize it and take a deep breath and pull yourself back. You follow what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
not let people push your buttons or trigger you in ways that you can lose it all. Because right
Yep.
now I can't afford to lose it all.
That's part of maturity too. That's part of maturity. But
So
I'm gonna
Miles
call it a
Bridges,
night,
damn
y'all.
yeah. So Miles
Peace to
Bridges,
Flight
damn
Sports
near
TV.
most definitely Zen. So Miles Bridges definitely almost lost it all. He's still hanging on the edge of get back, but when he gets back, who knows? Because the NBA, Adam Silver, have something to say about it. Now I understand the Charlotte Hornets is missing Miles Bridges' presence in that locker room, on that floor, and in that uniform. So until the NBA finish out its investigation and hand down its suspension, then the Charlotte Hornets can figure out if they want to keep him because they have his rights. I think because I don't think they withdrew his tentative offer. I know there's a lot of speculation around that and a lot of kerfuffle, but I don't know if they withdrew his qualifying offer. I think it could be still on the table, but they might they might have halted the negotiations based on that offer. So he can not receive it, nor can they give it right now until the NBA settles the dust and what they're going to do with Miles Bridges. So basically, that's the update on that. And like I said, the last thing we heard is Mitty giving an open eye view into the situation and where the Charlotte Hornets lie at the feet of Miles Bridges, or do Miles Bridges lie at the feet of Charlotte Hornets? But right now, it's in purgatory, and there's no movement this or that way. Disregard any spurless narrative that has been spewed at any given time about that situation, because it was motion moving towards Miles Bridges communicating with Charlotte, and then Charlotte came back and said, no, there's no communication. So somebody is trying to become a spin doctor in this situation, because let's admit, I mean, the pot is boiling and the water is steaming. And in between the boil and the water is cavication, and bubbles is constantly popping. And some of these bubbles are surrounded or encapsulated with false narrative just to percolate the interest of fans who are in the dark. So Mitty had to come out and explain and express where the Charlotte Hornets lie on this situation, and that there's no movement east, west, north, or south. It's just central. And nobody have a leg on anything just yet until Adam Silver decides on what happens with Miles Bridges. So it's like everybody's walking on eggshell, because I know the Detroit Pistons had shown interest in Miles Bridges. And by the Detroit Pistons showing interest, because they want to bring Miles Bridges home and feel that Miles Bridges, Cade Cunningham, and their new young nested stars could help the Detroit Pistons in winning something, or even getting in the play-in type situation come next season. So it's not like teams have not shown interest in Miles Bridges. I think Houston have shown some interest.
The
I
Lakers
think
did.
Phoenix, the Lakers. But I don't know if the Lakers was really like serious about Miles Bridges. I just think that's the more of a Rich Paul thing, Clutch Sports, because he is a Clutch Sport client, just to bring solid and significant and valid interest in Miles Bridges. If the Lakers want to, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? So they're very connected to the Lakers organization via LeBron James. So if you can use the Lakers to catapult interest of Miles Bridges in any type of situation, then you're going to do it, because that's their client. I mean, Rich Paul is the representation for Miles Bridges. And you can always use the Lakers, because if you mention Lakers and you put any name with the Lakers, it's going to confetti into some interest. So they know what they're doing over there. These guys are very acute at bringing attention to their clients. You follow what I'm saying? They like the ultimate galvanizer. That Rich Paul Clutch Sports situation over there. And they use the Lakers as a springboard to help catapult this interest into the minds of basketball fans worldwide. So that's what I think that was. That was some little skullduggery from the Clutch Sports camp, which is wonderful. You know what I mean? I don't knock their hustle at all. That's what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you think by bringing in Miles Bridges, would it necessarily galvanize fans, or would it almost dissuade them based off his reputation? I think that is overall the core problem that we're encountering. And people are recognizing that, yeah, he has a terrible character. Why would you want to cheer for someone who commits domestic violence? I mean, LA as a whole, I mean, you're in California, very democratic. People are not going to like that whatsoever. So I think that's why Lakers decided not to sign him. It was more because of the fan base. It
I don't
wasn't.
think the Lakers was going to sign him anyway, to be honest with you. But you're right on political lines when you say that about Los Angeles. They're very anti domestic violence. Like I said, it goes back to 1994. I don't even know if he was born then, but it
No, it
goes back to
wasn't.
1994 with the O.J. Simpson event, and that was a grand event. You know what I mean? And from that point forward, domestic violence was something to frown on, and it was a one-way ticket to jail without explanation in most cases. So you're not getting the benefit of the doubt out there, because that's where, like I said, the springboard for the seriousness and all the advocacy surrounding domestic violence stem from that geographical location, Los Angeles, California, La La Land, you know. So I don't, that's why I thought it was just, a lot of poof with the Miles Bridges situation in the interest of LA, bringing Miles Bridges there. I just think Clutch Sports use that area and mention the Lakers to excite excite interest in Miles Bridges and get eyes on him to some degree because he was starting to wane away in the public interest, and they was looking at him as as something to frown on.
Yeah, he was more perceived as a predator, and I don't think anyone wants to be entertained by someone like that. I mean,
It's hard to cheer for, right? It'd be
personally,
hard to cheer for this guy.
yeah, it's like, oh, let's root for someone who who's a domestic abuser. I mean, I remember when I used to be a huge like Michael Vick fan when I was young, had his jersey and everything. But then after what he did, I I never wore that jersey. Let's just say that.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. See, with the Michael
That's
Vick thing, that was animals, right? That was dealing with animals. I can't correlate that with dealing with humans because animals, if you're not part of PETA, animals get treated harsh on an everyday basis. I mean, for crying out loud, animals are used in guinea pig labs. You know what I mean? And to do a human that way, it would be some outcry. So that's why a lot of those guinea pig labs that do use human are far off in secret islands or in
or right next to my
conclaves.
house in San Diego at the
Yeah, or in some type
at
of
the
secret
Salt
conclave.
Institute. Where animal testing is being done on a daily basis, and we have
Right.
PETA protests on a weekly basis. So, yeah, I mean, you can't really draw this comparison, but I mean, it's just like another incident that is unethical, and it's something that I cannot condemn whatsoever. I just think that I mean, I don't want to mix. Honestly, I'm just gonna shut my mouth because I don't want to get into politics right now.
Yeah, but like I said, the Michael Vick situation, fighting vicious dogs, that's been in the black community for a very long time. Even when I was a youngster, I had a couple of friends who used to fight pit bulls and just fight for money. And some of them just fight for sheer delight, just to make sure that their pit bull is more vicious than the next pit bull. I mean, that's how people grew up. They think it's cool, they think it's right
Does
until
doesn't mean it
the
doesn't mean it's
humane
right,
society
though.
come knocking on your door and start taking your dogs.
Yeah, I mean, animal abuse is prevalent. Something that's never gonna change. Everyone knows that deep down inside.
I mean, for crying out
Um,
loud, they hunt animals, right? They go out and just straight hunt them. That's how they
yeah,
purge. A lot of people purge by just going out hunting, killing animals.
that's just like another topic, but I don't want to derail from the conversation we've previously been having. I think we should maybe focus on basketball a bit. But I 100% I agree with you with everything that you just mentioned.
And
I
so,
think
like I
you're
said,
go ahead.
okay, like I say, Love make it official with the Miami Heat, who inks Zeller too. So you got Cody Zeller and Kevin Love in a Miami Heat uniform. What do you think about that? Do that helps Miami? Do that propels them and make them relevant in the conversation of the top three, which is Boston, Milwaukee, Philly?
Um, it depends on how they utilize Kevin Love. I like it and I don't like. I want to like it, but I just there's so many different variables. It just depends on how well he plays. I mean, he was solid in Cleveland, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're a championship caliber team. I mean, if you even with a healthy Lowry, I don't think they can really take down the Bucks. I don't think they can take down the Celtics. I mean, yeah, they can maybe make a run in the playoffs, but I don't know how far, man. I just don't know how far they're gonna go. It just depends on if the team is healthy overall. I'm a huge Jimmy Butler fan. I love Jimmy Butler. I admire him as a player. I think he's probably arguably the best two-way player in the league. But I don't know if those are going to bring them to a chip. There's just so many different factors that go into play. If Victor Oladipo plays the way he's been playing, I mean, he's been great off the bench, and you have Max Strus, and then you have Gabe Vincent, who's also very underrated. I like his game a lot. He's a great shooter. But I honestly, I don't think they're gonna make it that far. There, to me, it's just there's very slim odds that they can beat Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Celtics. But I think overall it was a great pickup for them. I think it's a player that they really needed to fill in their front court with Bam.
So do you think Love will start?
I think he's gonna come off the bench at first, and then eventually he's gonna transition into a starter.
Now, what you gonna do with
Cody Martin?
Caleb, not Cody, Caleb.
Caleb Martin. I mean, bro, put him on the bench. He's very decent.
Wait. He started every game now. He started 49 out of 49 games, and he's averaging north of 30 minutes. You're going to put that on the bench, and he's averaging double figures. You're going to put that on the bench?
I honestly, I think it depends on their matchup. Personally, if they are playing against a team like the Cavs, I would start Kevin Love. But if they're gonna play a team like Dallas Mavericks, who prefer small ball, smaller players, smaller size players, I would start Cody. So
you talking about Cody Zeller?
No, Martin.
Cody's playing with
shit, bro. I always confuse the two. Caleb Martin. That's what I meant.
So, okay, you got Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Matt Strauss, Kyle Lowry, right? That's who you have so far. So basically, they're playing a 3-guard offense. So with Kevin Love, you're gonna probably put one on the bench and let him start, or is he coming off the bench?
You can put Max Strauss on the bench. They were starting. The thing is, in the absence of Lowry, they were starting Gabe Vincent, which honestly I prefer that lineup over Lowry. I don't think Lowry's that good. I think he's honestly washed. But
Lowry plays 33 minutes a game.
Yeah, but he's washed, man. He's not the same player as he was. That's why they were so eager to trade him.
Now, what about your boy Duncan Robinson? What they gonna do with him? They're giving him all this money.
Yeah, I mean he's just a role player at this point.
They can't even move his contract.
They're not going to. It's the same. They're in the same position as the Knicks. They have Evan Fournier on their salary. He has what, like a 4-year, $72 million. He's making like around $18 million. Same goes for Robinson.
And not even getting one tick.
I mean, he's been getting recent minutes. Was
he injured?
No, he's just not in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you telling me Jalen Brunson knocked him out of the rotation?
It wasn't Jalen Brunson that knocked him out of the rotation. It was Quentin Grimes.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you guys remember how great he was? I know this is recent, but he was great on the Celtics off the bench. He was great in Orlando. He was great in Denver.
Well, that's what got him over there from the Celtics.
Yeah. I mean,
remember they took the New York Knicks. Hold on one second. The New York Knicks took the Celtics rejected backcourt, Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. Now I understand that Kemba Walker did get traded to OKC, but he didn't bounce the ball one time in OKC before the Knicks grabbed him. So it basically was a trade from Boston to the Knicks. It's just that Danny Ainge, as smart as he is, didn't want the Knicks to just grab Kemba Walker from his franchise. You have to go get him from somewhere else. So he's sitting in
Yeah.
the OKC.
And then he got traded to Detroit, and then he got released.
Yeah,
He went,
Charlotte was thinking about picking up Kemba Walker for some reason. Like,
and
why would you do that?
yeah, that made no sense. What's your opinion on the Wiseman trade? For me,
Oh my God.
I'm so
I was shocked.
confused.
I was shocked.
I'm
But
so
I was
confused.
shocked, but not surprised.
But it's kind of ironic because Gary Payton, first of all, if you know what happened during free agency, Gary Payton wanted to get paid. Portland
Right.
gave him that money. Golden State couldn't match that offer. And then after that, he fucking gets traded to the Warriors, and then James Wiseman gets sent to the Pistons, which makes no fucking sense because if you're trying to develop some players like you got four centers on your team already.
But let me tell you something about James Wiseman. I met the man. I tried to get an interview from James Wiseman, and unfortunately, it didn't pan out. But I was able to talk to Kevon Looney, and Kevon Looney was basically like his protector, like his bodyguard. You know what I'm saying? James Wiseman. How can I explain this? James Wiseman was fresh off the press, and he did not seem like a 20-year-old that was vivacious and excited to be in the NBA. Now, mind you, James Wiseman played what somebody told me, corrected me, 3 games in college.
For Memphis.
Yeah, he gets kicked off because because the violations or whatever was going on down there, paid or whatever, what Anthony was doing with them boys down there. And
That's what happens in Memphis, man.
exactly right. And then he started embarking on his professional career. He started going through training and doing all drills and just getting ready for the NBA after he got put off the Memphis Tigers. I had an opportunity to interview James Wiseman. I was right there. It looked like he wanted to talk. Then all of a sudden he goes into this shell, like he just got instantly depressed. I'm like looking at this young dude, like I'm thinking that, because I watched some of his high school, his clips on YouTube, his high school, and I watched a game. I think one game, his first game in college, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was his first game because I wanted to see him and how Anthony Hardaway coach. You know what I'm saying? And this guy was like deflated. I'm like, young man, you all right, bro? Young brother, you all right? And he just like looked at me, right? He looked at me, but it looked like he was looking past me. Even though we looking right at each other, like right there, but he was looking past me, and he gave me the vibe like, why are you messing with me? I don't want to deal with any humans. I don't want to deal with nobody. And then Kevon Looney picked up on the vibe, shout out to Kevon Looney, Drew League guy. You see him playing the Drew League. He was like, hey, don't worry about it. I talked to you. And I was like, yeah, my name is All Access Destin from Flight Sports TV. And, I wanted to talk to James Wiseman. He said, no, I don't think you want to talk. But if you want to talk to me, I'll talk to you. And I was like, okay. But he said, but just wait a minute. Just let the game kind of flow a little bit, and then I'll get back with you. And then, of course, Kevon didn't get back with me because he got caught up in the game. And I respected that. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of just left it alone. But I was more so wanted James Wiseman. I didn't want Kevon Looney. If I wanted you, I could interview you at the Drew League. I don't have to wait to come to an NBA situation to interview you. You know what I mean? I can interview you at the Drew League. It was more so I wanted to get James Wiseman, encapsulate the whole moment around the LaMelo Ball situation, because that's what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? How you feel getting drafted above LaMelo Ball, and you was also considered, to some NBA pundits, draft pundits, that you would be the number one pick. So how you feel being a Golden State playing with Steph Curry? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The hegemony of sovereignty, championship, legacy team coming in, being enrolled or matriculating into that, and then getting acclimated to floor play. You feel me? That's what I wanted to really get him to talk about. But the guy was so deflated. It was almost like he was in a depression mode. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, dude, this is like your second year. I mean, what's going on? You're playing with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. You're being coached by Steve Kerr, who's instantly going into the Hall of Fame as coaching. Like, dude, why are you not happy? You're the second pick in the first round behind Anthony Edwards. You was picked above LaMelo Ball. What are you depressed about? But I didn't get a chance to really, integrate myself with him, nor was he ingratiating. And he kind of just, like I said, he looked at me, but he just looked past me. Like, I couldn't even get like the eye contact I wanted from the young man. So it was crazy. And from that point on, I was like, something wrong with James Wiseman. I don't know what it is, but something's wrong with him. So I was never surprised that he was getting treated the way he getting treated, because knowing Draymond Green and how vicious his mouthpiece is, hollering at James Wiseman to do this and to do that and to get in this position. Stop. Don't worry about shooting. Just because we pass you the ball, you don't have to shoot it. You can pass out of it. That's what we're giving it to you for. Do like Kevon Looney do. You know what I'm saying? And seeing that type of pressure being put on him, I understand why Steve Kerr wasn't putting him on the floor. But trading him for what they traded him for, I was shocked. I thought at least they will hold on to James Wiseman. This is just my personal view. No information on this. I thought they will hold on to James Wiseman, get rid of Draymond, send him to Detroit or somewhere else, send him back home to Detroit or send him somewhere else close, and pick up James Wiseman and let him come in with the Steph Curry as he on his way out, Jonathan Kuminga, and some of them young studs they got over at Golden State, Jordan,
Moses Moody,
right, and Jordan. What's the boy name?
Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole, yeah, Jordan Poole, and as Steph Curry and Klay Thompson kind of enrolled themselves into another dimension of branding outside of the NBA, you have James Wiseman as your young guy, and he could be tutelage by Kevon Looney to give them the Golden State way. I had no idea they was going to just drop this kid.
They had to.
That's why I'm saying I was shocked. Not surprised, but shocked.
How they been going to develop him?
Oh, that's no panic. Yeah.
Yeah, they ain't had no time to develop him. They've been in win now since he get there.
Well,
he played like 10 games between the end of his high school career and the start of the NBA season.
But they had time to develop him.
No, they
just didn't develop. No, listen, he just didn't develop fast enough. Because Because remember now, remember Anthony Edwards got drafted before him, right?
Right.
LaMelo Ball got drafted after him.
Right.
And both of these two players, as he was sandwiched in between these two young, spectacular athletes, both of them are all-stars, and James Wiseman is nowhere to be found. He's down in the
But look who they play with, though.
What you call it? G League.
G League, yeah. Look who LaMelo and Anthony Edwards play with when they get in the league. Like both of them going to mediocre teams where they could have carved out a decent sized role for themselves. Yet Wiseman ain't never had that chance. Like Wiseman, when he come out of high school, he's just been a raw athletic talent, and it been like we gonna mold him into something. He get into college and he still ain't had a role figured out because he been like we like 10 games inside college. He ain't had time to figure out 3 games, right? So boom, 3 games. He get drafted just on the strength of like his talent alone. He's still raw. He still ain't molded into a player. All we know is he athletic. He can move for a big man and all that. So at the very least, he should be a good rim defender, rim protector, whatnot. So when you get him inside with Golden State, it's like we don't need you to be number one, number two, number three option. We just need you to be Kevon Looney. But you telling the
Right.
first round draft pick who possibly could have gone number one overall to
Number
be
2 overall.
Kevon
Yeah.
Looney. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So now he don't got nothing to work with. So when you do got a young player like that, it's like either you throw him in the fire or you give him time to work out the kinks. He ain't
I
got time
think
to work out the kinks.
I honestly I think it was a matter of maturity. I mean, I recently I read an article about him. He after he like faced like an 18-month recovery from his injury,
Mm-hmm.
he was depressed. This man was depressed. He was
See,
sad. He was going
it's
through a
like what I
lot of
saw.
yeah. So I mean, I feel like people are kind of quick to judge, and he didn't really have his time to shine. I don't think he was given the right opportunity, but at the same time, I hope for him. I hope for the best for him, especially in Detroit. I just don't get what the Detroit Pistons franchise is trying to do. Are they trying to pull like another like Andre Drummond, Greg Monroe, Josh Smith lineup by having like three big men in their lineup? I don't fucking get it at all.
But Wiseman can run up and down the floor with Cade Cunningham when Cade gets back.
Yeah, but
Um,
you're developing two other big men. You have Jalen
they probably
Duran, you have
it,
Isaiah Stewart, and then
top,
you have
yeah.
Nerlens Noel off the bench as well,
Well,
and you have Jason.
New Orleans, he's probably going to be on his way out. Stewart probably going to be on his way out, and they're going to probably just keep Wiseman and what's the other Durant.
Jalen
That's
Durant.
what I
Jalen
think.
Durant's
Yeah,
nice. I like
yeah.
him.
I think they're just going to keep those two. But listen, Golden State don't want to pay Wiseman.
Yeah, that's another thing you add into it. Now you don't gotta pay him. You get like I don't what they get in the trade for with
Gary Trent.
Wiseman.
You get Gary Trent and 5 second round picks.
So you get picks that get for possible ammunition in the future, or you can just give them up for another role player or additive player. Gary Trent kind of help, but whatever push they're trying to make to the playoffs, he can hurt the situation, and he can be going for the cheap next year. So like they gain, I think they gain a lot, but I mean, if you don't got time for, if you don't got time to really develop Wiseman, it's like you doing him a disservice and you doing yourself a disservice because now you put yourself in a position where either you got to outright release somebody you draft or trade him for even less than you already get this year, or pay him.
Yeah,
So
but
it's like it's
my
been a kind of a win-win.
but didn't Detroit just recently sign Marvin Bagley to long term?
Yeah, but see, you gotta think about it. Marvin Bagley's skill set, he can play at the full. If he get a better jumper from the outside, he can be a stretch full. Wiseman skill set, you can mold him because he can shoot the mid range, not like effectively. Now, I ain't saying Wiseman one of those knockdown mid range shooters, but you can kind of stretch him out to a certain extent to where you can mold him into what you want him to be molded to. Then when you look at the other centers they got, like Durant, like those more so defensive centers who gonna be like rim runners for you. So like,
You mean Duran?
yeah, Duran, I call him Durant, but Duran, like that's some. It's like Detroit, one of them teams where they at the bottom of the barrel, so they just throwing things at the wall and see what's sticking at this point. So
Yeah.
Wiseman to them, but like shit, all we gotta do is give him a couple of second rounders. And Gary Trent, we already rebuilding. Cool, we'll get him. We'll kick the can on him. If we don't like what we see, we can let him go. We ain't draft him. You know what I mean? So it's like I know Wiseman just saying never had a real shot going into a championship team at the end of the day. Like they don't need you to
And the
be.
and the Warriors always second guess that pick too. I think because when LaMelo Ball had that rookie sensational season and Wiseman was put on the shelf, I just think Bob Myers and company, the way that they move, they probably kind of regretted that and probably second guess. And so Wiseman was stuck between a rock and a hard place when it came to being a long time member of the Warriors organization.
Yeah. No, I agree with y'all. I think that's pretty valid what y'all are saying. I think he just wasn't given the right shot. He just needs minutes. He needs time to develop and honestly the Detroit Pistons is pretty much a G League team. Like you're playing in the NBA. But we'll see what happens. I honestly I hope for the best for him, and hopefully he can get back to how he used to play in high school. But it's gonna take time. This is not gonna just he's not gonna magically appear as a dominant center. But it's just gonna be a
He
battle
can
of the
dominate in his own way. You know what I mean? He can dominate by being a giraffe out there. You know,
And
yeah.
I mean, like we
or
was
a
talking
tall
about the other
gazelle.
night, like he dropped
Because he can
30.
run up and down the court. Yeah, that's
He
right. He can
dropped
drop
30
30,
this season.
but he can run up and down the court. But I don't know if he can lead your team to greener pastures, but he can be a tool in the shed that can be used night in and night out to help you get to where you need to go. You know what I'm saying? And also, James Wiseman do have some skill, some natural born skill. It's just that
He raw.
he's mentally fragile, and I think that didn't rub some of the Golden State Warriors the right way, because to be a champion, and ain't no fragility there. You got to be solid from the tip of your hair down to the bottom of your feet. You know what I'm saying? Because the rigors of going through an NBA season and then diving into an extended season, there's no room for you to be fragile. I mean, mentally fragile and doubting yourself and being down on yourself, because that brings the morale of the team down, especially if you use a high pick and they expected big things from you. They were like, dude, what are you tripping off of? You follow what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and I just think that didn't mesh well with the mindsets of the top three in the Warriors situation. And then you throw Jordan Poole in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he been kind of a surprise development as far as how fast he developed. It's like if you can develop fast, you can get a run with Golden State. But if you got to take time like Wiseman, I mean, teams like that don't like, to them. Getting rid of him ain't been as of a big deal if it would be if Charlotte drafted him and then he ain't up being where he is, and it's like, oh yeah, well shit, y'all basically wasted draft. But with the Warriors, I mean, it ain't really been a wasted draft. All right, say like, I
Right.
mean, they draft him because in their mind it's like, shit, we need to get back to the days when we had that five that can rim protect and rebound. But that's not who Wiseman. I mean, that's not who Wiseman think he is as a player. And the hype he had coming out of high school, nobody see him as a rebounding, rim running, and just a rim
No, rim
protector
running, yes.
alone.
Rim running, yes.
I mean, but no,
He's a
why you
rim
saying
runner.
is we don't see him as just those three things. When you be coming out of high school, it's like, oh, he can be like AD, and you don't see AD just rebounding, just rim running, and just
Right.
protecting the basket. You see
Yeah.
him offensively effective and things like that. So when you look at Wiseman and you put him in a position where in his mind and in everybody around, especially his camp, look at it like, no, like, bro, use a starter team or a second option at best. I mean, at worst. And now you're in a position where it's like you barely getting run, then you getting injured, and like how you were saying earlier, like depression kick in because it's like, damn, like I've been a man in high school, I've been dominating them little 3 games in college, and in the NBA I can't touch the floor, I got hurt,
Talented,
I
great
can't
minds
get
think
no,
alike. Put it that way.
yeah, so it's like shit, all that, and he a young dude, like he was still early 20s, so there's a lot that go into just just basketball whatnot. But he's still an athletic player. I wouldn't give up on him as far as saying that he gonna be a bust or he ain't got nothing to offer. I think he gonna
But
turn things
Pat,
around.
no
I just
panic.
don't think he gonna get back to the point where teams see him as a franchise cornerstone no more.
No,
I
those
agree.
days are over with. But listen, no panic. The thing of it is that this what separates championship teams that constantly march into the summer than teams that fade away in spring. They gave up a number 2 overall pick. Listen, just think about this. Golden State gave up a number 2 overall pick, right?
Mhm.
First round, second pick, and a draft that produced multiple all-stars. And here we are with other teams that have picks that's lower than what James Wiseman was picked at, holding on to them, hugging them like they tree huggers,
Right.
and won't get rid of them. And their development hasn't even come near what James Wiseman have shown, and they still hold on to them. This will separate you, and this will separate your front office from award-winning front office that bring their team down a yellow brick road and ultimately play in the NBA Finals and receive the Commissioner's Trophy.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, I gotta get going, but I appreciate y'all for letting me chat and speak on your channel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I mean, I remember I said this a long time ago when I've been defending. I think I've been defending Lonzo when they were talking about him being drafted second overall. In today's NBA versus like maybe 10 years ago in the NBA. 10 years ago, you get drafted in the top five. We expect shit, not even the top five, damn near the top 10. We expect for you to be okay, this your team, you got the keys right out the gate, you the superstar of this team and the making, whatever. But in this day and age, like I truly believe, even maybe not the number one overall, and in certain situations, the number two overall. I think from two on down, the teams don't look at them like these gonna be the stars. I think from two on down, they look at it like, okay, we can draft you and you're gonna be a player that can play in the system that we trying to play or fit what we trying to do. Like I say, like, regardless of what somebody want to say about Lonzo, if you draft Lonzo to do exactly what he did in Chicago, and I know like Lonzo ain't get a jumper right until a couple of years later, whatnot. But a player like Lonzo, you don't draft him to be like, okay, we gonna hang you the keys. It's your team. You go do. You got to do like this. Ain't the era of God bless you, so Kobe or a T Mac where you had that one player and then you kind of bow like little pieces around them. So it's like with Wiseman, like I had a problem with them picking him number two overall. To be honest with you, because like I see what they've been trying to do is like, yeah, he may be a highly touted player, but I mean, you can just slide into the five, rebound, rim protect, and you're gonna be the most talented, like fifth option on any team in the league. We good. We got Clay coming back. Steph gonna be healthy. Draymond gonna be healthy. We got a couple of ancillary parts around us. We good. So I wouldn't look at them and say like they failed drafting Wiseman, because I mean they got a chip out of it whether he helped the situation or not. But they had to do what they had to do.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that they don't waste time cutting ties. They don't care where you pick that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a good fit and or a seamless fit, then you just have to go because they're banking on winning championships or having a deep run in the playoffs. So you have
Yeah.
to fit with them physically as well as mentally, or otherwise you're gone. Now,
Yeah.
that is a winning formula for an executive front office. But these other teams be drafting these players that doesn't fit the bill either, yet they hold on to them and they hold on to them too long. And now now they put themselves in a conundrum that could be somewhat perplexing when it comes time to pay these players. And yet their stat line says don't pay them, but their drafting and the ego of the front office say, man, if we let this player go, that shows that we screwed up. And we don't want it, our fan base or the NBA pundits laughing at us saying we screwed up with this pick. So we're just gonna hold on to it and just try to, you know, allow it to wither away for something grander, and
Mm-hmm.
that might not ever come your way. So when you have an opportunity to release yourself from the flaw of your drafting, you should go ahead and do it. What is the wait for?
You know why? You know why teams iffy by just letting players just walk? Is what you said just now about a lot of them don't want to sound wrong because a lot of them fight and bang the boards and all that to try to get certain players. Like the owner say, well, no, let's go with so and so and so. And they be like, no, I'm telling you, we need to draft this player because every GM that come in, they got their own like the fun part about it being a GM, you get to build your own team. How much like least you get to do that is one thing, but when an owner put in your hand, like, listen, this your team. Do whatever you want to do. Build me a championship team. That's like playing 2K. Your mind is like, I about to get this player. I about to draft him. I about to trade for him. Blah blah blah. When you got that in your mind and I want LaMelo Ball for the #1 overall pick. Even if LaMelo don't play up the par for his first couple of years, and your mind is like, he might not work out, but we might draft somebody else. And you know where a lot of teams get that from? Remember the GM from Philly that draft Embiid and Noel and Ben Simmons and all of them? Every season they've been losing. And he keep drafting the same type of player.
The
They
process.
keep losing. Yeah, to trust the process. And not now, but it gets to a point where Philly been competing to get into the finals every year. They maybe not made the finals, but every year they've been a juggernaut team. Especially when they get Jimmy Butler's like, and we collect enough of these young draft pick players, some of them will turn out to be decent players, and boom, at some point, make some trades, get that one player to fit in like a Jimmy Butler, we good. A Tobias Harris, we good. And they've been good for a couple of years, and just, y'all fall apart. But
Well,
that's where that thinking come from.
that shot from Kawhi Leonard just really broke the spirits.
Yeah. Think about it. They probably
Philly.
would have won a chip that year. Think about it. The one of that game would have gone on to play in the finals, right? If I'm mistaken.
Yep.
And who they play against? A bang up Warriors team that only had Steph and Clay for like 2 games in the finals. Philly would have been champs that year. That really break them.
And that was a hell of a shot to send him home too. Oh my God.
Yeah.
B was crying.
Because remember, at that point, every year they've been trying to put the blame on Embiid, saying he out of shape. He always get tired at the end of the season. He ain't taking this serious. He ain't blah blah blah. And that been the first year, he been taking things serious. Like he's even doing watching his weight. He been now working out. He been make sure he ain't been tiring out throughout the season. So he actually did everything he said he was gonna do, and shit, that shot cost him.
Yeah, and they really hadn't been the same. But this year it seemed like they're trying to pick it up. So maybe they got over that trauma, that cycle of trauma.
I doubt it.
And
Long
now
as they got
Philly,
James Harden, I doubt it.
and now Philly trying to put in some work.
And as long as they got Harden on that roster, I doubt it.
You have no faith in Harden.
Tiger don't change his scrapes or can't change his scrapes. Harden. When I see Harden going 1 for 17 or something
Okay, but what
like
about
that.
what about your boy from Long Island?
Ooh.
Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris always a no show. He old empty stat type player. Like he out there, but he ain't out there. Like they pay him instead of paying Jimmy Butler, and look how that turned out for them. Jimmy Butler ain't did nothing but progress.
They chose Jimmy Butler. I mean, they
finals.
chose Ben Simmons over Jimmy Butler. That's what they chose.
No, they chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
No, really, Ben Simmons. They could keep Tobias Harris.
No, Ben Simmons already had his money. They had to pay either.
So did Tobias.
Yeah, they had to pay Tobias or
Tobias had his money already. He came with the money. Remember? He came from the Clippers. Yeah, he came from the Clippers with the money. Doc Rivers brought him over.
You sure?
Yeah. It wasn't Tobias. I think it was Ben Simmons, because this is who Butler was kind of like in disagreement with, because he didn't like Ben Simmons' style. Remember Joel Embiid spoke up for Jimmy Butler. Like, we might have got rid of the wrong guy. It wasn't Tobias.
Yeah, I think wrong. I think they did get rid of the wrong guy, but I think it was Tobias. I gotta see when Tobias' contract, because I swear Tobias get paid that same summer.
I thought Tobias came with his contract. I think it was a sign and trade with Philly, with the Clippers. But I
No,
don't know. I could be wrong.
well, he got 2 years left this season and next season. So that means he get paid 2 years ago.
Right.
And I want to say Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler won't the Heat how long?
For 3 years. This is Jim Butler third year with the Heat.
He signed a 4-year contract,
Because
and
Jimmy Butler came with the Heat in 2020. Remember? Because they played the Lakers in the finals, and that was Jimmy Butler's first year with the Heat.
he's having his first year with the Heat, and that been 2020. So yeah,
Hmm.
about 2 years ago, basically. About like 3 seasons since they had like 3 seasons in 2 years.
What do you think about Patrick Beverley being a Bull?
That adds nothing to the Bulls.
Nothing.
That adds
Some screaming, some
absolutely
yelling and
nothing.
screaming in the locker room. Y'all heard
That's all
Billy?
that is. Yeah,
So
I
y'all
only thing
just
I'll
gonna
give him
ignore this man?
yeah, he gonna one thing I'll give Patrick Beverly is he he'll rile up them younger players. Them younger players gonna see him and be yeah, like I like that energy or whatever like that. But
Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry might show his little tail now because he got somebody to rah
yeah,
rah with.
yeah. Cause I want Pat
Because
Beverly like
Demar's not a rah rah guy, and Zach Levine
uh
is not a rah rah guy, and we already know Lonzo's not a
uh
rah rah guy. Vooch is not a
and see
rah
the thing
rah
about
guy.
Pat Bev, the reason I say he don't add nothing because he him and he probably shoot a tiny bit better than Caruso. He don't defend better than Caruso. Like what he bring to the table, he's not a natural point guard. Like he don't run the floor as a point guard. The Bulls really don't need that type of player to like. He ain't starting. I mean, is he starting? Like the Bulls, the
I
only
don't think
move the
so.
Bulls need to make is they need to go and put Zoe knees in some type of magical chamber to get better.
Mm,
Zoe
he better
alone
go
will
over there.
change the
Should
complexity of the
should
team.
should Zoe go over where Kobe Bryant went over to Germany?
I mean,
Remember Kobe
but
went over there? I
yeah,
think
I
LeBron went over
mean,
there.
yeah, but I think what he need and what they going to get is two different things. I think they're going to get like stem cell. I don't know about replacement or something with stem cells or whatever. That whole new thing at the time. But with Lonzo, like I know, I think he just it's like I don't know what's going on. That's my thing about it. I don't know what's going on. Like his injury is more. It's not more so of a structural damage where it's like, oh yeah, well the bone ain't healing and blah blah blah. It's just more so like pain tolerance for him. So it's like, what do you do with that? It's like you can tell him to like, man, I've been playing, but it's like we don't know how much it affected him. And as an NBA player, like I don't blame him for not playing because it's like this is my career. Like I still young, like I still got time to get a whole nother big contract. So I ain't trying to mess up nothing in the long run just to try to, push myself back. So it's like, I know. I just that's one of them injuries. Like I keep looking at Robert Williams and it's like I know they're two different people, but like it's kind of the same injury. But I mean, Zoe won a low. I feel like hers a little more severe.
Okay, when you look at Robert Williams, how are you looking at it, and what is your comparison?
I just look at it from a point of it like both of them defensive type players. Zoe need his lateral quickness a lot more than Robert Williams needed. But at the same time, Robert Williams do a lot more up and down jumping than Zoe. So it's like I don't know. It's like is he powering through his pain? Robert Williams that what talking about, or is it more so like hers just ain't been as severe as Zoe? I would like to see footage and know more about what's going on with Zoe like nowadays. Like what's going on? Like what you doing? Like are you running? Are you jumping? Are you making basketball plays? Are you running 4-on-4, 3-on-3s? Like what are you doing outside of just giving us updates? Because the whole thing sound crazy. Like he done been going for like literally almost a whole year now. And he ain't been no torn ACL, ain't been no torn MCL, PCL, none of that. And it's like almost been a whole year. And he's not coming back this year. Like that's it. It's
Well,
25
they haven't
games.
announced it yet. They expect it to say he's not coming back, but that has yet to be announced officially from the Chicago Bulls.
I know for a fact he ain't coming back. But I can't say it for a fact like that. But you know what I mean? Like I believe wholeheartedly he's not coming back this year right here. And like I tell you the other day, the next time we see Lonzo gonna be in another uniform.
Uh-oh. You really think so, huh? What uniform you think he's gonna be in there?
Hey, listen, I don't know, but I think he's gonna be more so of a next season. Before next season start, they're gonna have to make some decisions because you gotta make a decision on Vucevic contract this year, right?
Yep.
DeMar DeRozan contract, he had 1 year left after this year, or this will be his last year. I can't remember how much he signed for, or how
Yeah, I
much he
can't
signed
remember.
for.
I don't know if it was 5 or 4 years. I'm not for
No,
sure.
I know him in 5. I want to say him in 3.
Oh, it's 3?
I want to see him in 3. I know him in like no 5 year contract. So I want to see him in 3. I don't want to say 2 because 2 seem low.
No, it's
Probably
not
signing
2.
for
It's
only
not 2.
2.
I know it's not 2.
And that's the second year with the Bulls, right? So he got 1 year left on his contract. After this year, he can be a free agent, no restriction on none of that, just a free agent. Because I don't think he got no options on that 3 year. So you can possibly lose him next year. So you got to make a decision by All-Star break next year if the season ain't going too well to trade them all. You got to make a decision by the end of this year about Vooch. You got to make a decision by the end of this year. Well, I mean, Kobe White get paid. I don't think he get paid yet, right?
No, he haven't got paid yet.
You got to make a decision on him. Got to make a decision on Pat Williams. Ayo, he got a couple. He got a year, year or two before you even got to think about anything with him.
I think Ayo is coming up too. I think he has
He been a
because he was
rookie
second
last year.
round. Yeah, but he was second round pick though. He wasn't first round pick.
Oh yeah, so
First
he only
round you
got to
get the
wait 2.
guaranteed 3 years. Right, yeah.
Right. See that's more money you might have to kick out. Dalen Terry, like how much he playing this season? Do you see something in
He's
him? That,
rookie. He's
yeah,
rookie.
like are they seeing something to be like, okay, well, he may be next up for us to slot him into a certain spot.
Nah, they ain't
Zach,
seen nothing to him
every
yet.
time you look, is a rumor about Zach. Shit, they had talks with New York Knicks and trading Zach Baum at All-Star break. They
Hmm.
saying that's been a legit conversation. So that's why I say if you take all that into account, where does that leave not to try to I know y'all don't like the haters, but what does that leave an injury prone Zoe in all of this? You gotta package him with something, right?
I don't see them trading Lonzo. I
I
just
can
don't see
see
it.
it. You gotta give value when you can get value because Zoe got a player
How you gonna
option
have value with an injured player? First of all,
because teams
you
gonna
got
look
some
at it
healthy.
like, no,
You got
listen,
healthy players, and you're
no, you
not
know
moving
why?
them, but you want to move an injured player. Who's gonna
That's
take an
why I
injured
say
player?
package him with something.
Nah,
If
I
you
don't see
tell
it.
me, right now, give me a 35, 36-year-old DeMar DeRozan, and we just trying to move this disgruntled player we got. He ain't no superstar, but he kind of an all-star fringes type player in this league. Give me DeRozan and Zoe, and give me like some second round picks with him. That's what I mean by packaging with something. Cause like his value is kind of low,
Okay,
but when you look at it, it's like, well, damn,
let me
we know
give you
he
some
can be on
back.
the court.
Let me
Look at
give you some
Curry.
pushback. Okay, I'm looking at it like this. I'm looking at it like this, right? We already see that the reason that the Chicago Bulls wasn't because of Zach or was because of DeMar, it was because of Vooch. Because all
Mm-hmm.
three of them have been playing for the last 2 years. There's only
Right.
one piece that's been missing because the Bulls roster is fairly the same since last year. Not much movement. Only person is not there is Tristan Thompson, and you got Andre Drummond. Now, the thing of this, the very player or piece that is missing that got you to the highest that you've been in years, I'm talking about several years, is not a part of this year team. And so you're not doing as well. Matter of fact, he was not part of the second half of last year's team, and they didn't do
Mhm.
as well. So why would you trade the one piece that got you to the top of the mountain, albeit a very short time, but you got there. You exceeded all expectation by being the number one seed during the course of a season. I mean, during the course of a season, but yet people want to get rid of that piece that got them up to the heap of the mountain. I don't see that.
It's not about getting rid of that piece per se. Like I said, with Zoe turns him into a competitive team. But let me ask you this: just in the East alone, let's say Lonzo come back right now, fully healthy with this team right now, as I said, who are they beating in the East?
That I don't know.
They beat you think they're beating the Celtics in a 7-game playoff series?
Well, when Lonzo was there with them, didn't they have the better record between them and the Celtics when they
Yeah,
played head to head? I think Celtics beat them once and the Bulls beat them twice, if I'm
didn't they
not
play that
mistaken.
much time with Zoe playing?
No, they played
But
one game
anyway,
without Zoe. They lost. The game they played without Zoe, they lost. Because
Celtics
remember,
got better towards the end of the season, and at the same time, Celtics a different team. Even this season, they're a lot better.
okay, I give you that.
Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis ain't going away for the next X amount of years.
Well, they've been
So
beating Milwaukee all year. I think they 3-1 with Milwaukee.
but they're not beating Milwaukee in a 7-game series.
Well, we already know that because they got dog whipped last season.
So that's two teams in the East right there alone that's automatic no. That they ain't getting
But
by
that
in the
was without
playoffs.
Zoe, though. We talking with or without Zoe?
No, we talking about with Zoe.
Okay, well, we don't know with Zoe with the Milwaukee would have did what they did because in the regular season, I think the Bulls and Milwaukee, I think they probably split 2-2.
Yeah, but I
Or,
talking about just in the
or
playoffs. I talking about once
but
you
that's
get
what I'm
to.
saying. We can't say that because Zoe
I mean,
wasn't
but
present. We only can go
no,
by
no,
when
we
Zoe was
no, we
present. What was
can't,
their
we
record?
can't now, we can't, but we can also look at basketball and be like, we know basketball. We know the Bucks
But
won
it's a
them two.
different team, Panic, when Zoe there. Remember that?
Yeah, they us, but
It's a
that
different team.
last year they get beat 4-1 in the playoffs, right? From Bucks.
Right, yeah. 4-1
And
from
hold up
Milwaukee.
now, mind you, that was minus Chris shit, I might call him Chris Thompson. Chris Middleton for a couple of games, and have a minus Zoe.
Right, right.
Now add both players in.
Sky said
I
he need to
still
start
think
over.
they get beat 4-2. A competitive 4-2, but 4-2 nonetheless. I don't think they beat Boston. I think they can take Boston 6 or 7 games, but they'll lose to Boston. Miami, I don't think the team mentally equipped to beat a team like Miami. Who else in the East? Toronto, they'll give them headaches. Orlando ain't nobody to them. The Nets broken up.
The Knicks.
They ain't no factor to nobody. The Hawks ain't no factor to nobody. It's somebody else in the East I'm missing that
That's
I
top.
know yet at the top.
I think you already said it. Boston,
Boston,
Milwaukee,
Milwaukee,
Philly,
Miami.
Philly,
Oh,
Miami.
Philly, I don't got Philly. I think they got a chance against Philly, but the reason why I think they can't beat Philly in a 7-game series is because of Joel Embiid. Vujic can't do nothing with him. That's the only problem that'll give that's the only thing that give Bose a problem. Vujic can't do nothing with him. There's no backup center that can do anything with him.
But I'm
They
just saying that
fried.
I just think that the presence of Lonzo bring
He
an
do.
oh, it just I can't. It's really I can't really describe the word that I would use. The only thing I can say is is a revigoration towards playing well and with excitement with Lonzo, because Lonzo is not getting in anybody's way, but at the same time, he's making a way for everybody to have an easier, more fluid game. And this is how you become a better, because you're enjoying what you do and it don't seem too laborious.
I
And Lonzo
agree.
present will remove a lot of that labor that these guys are having. DeRozan, Vooch, uh, Zach Levine. He makes the buckets easier. He makes the flow of the game easier, and you play different. But when you have to labor through your offensive sets, and now you want me to play defense, sometimes that's just not happening, and these players are not calibrated to play both sides of the ball every freaking set. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like no,
So
I 100% agree with you when it comes to Lonzo when he adds to the team. I just don't feel like even with him, with the team that they got around him, like as far as the Bulls concerned, that team is no, they still don't have a shot at even making the finals. But even if it is a slim chance they make the finals, look at the West. So now you're talking about a team that you
I
know,
don't think they can win a championship right
and
now.
and
I
that's
think they
why I'm
need to
trying to
be
say.
together for a couple of years, and so the continuity can really uh, grow, and it'll be part of a core team. Now, especially with Golden State on the run that they went on, and Boston the run they went on, it was hard to get through that. But all the thing I'm saying is that when you have a person like Zoe maestroing the court like a true general, or like leader, being a leader of a concert, you know what I mean? That right there have everybody playing their sensitive instrument, which is the violin, way much better, and it'll be way more tuned because you have the right maestro that's going to direct them to the right frequency. And when you have that kind of frequency, man, the sky's the limit how well you play, because all these NBA players are talented. It's just that who have the confidence, who believes more, you know what I mean, who feel that they're better than. Right now, the Bulls are in a sunken place and they don't feel better than.
And that's the point I'm trying to get to. So when you add Zoe and you still in your mind and your heart know this is not a championship team for the next 3 years, we still got to see the because the Rosen ain't gonna be there for the next 3 years. So at some point, y'all got to find somebody else to hold on to that burden of scoring or getting y'all over the hump. Because Zach ain't a finisher. He's not a closer. Like he's not that dude. In my opinion, he's not that dude. He can
But
give you buckets. He a good third option, but he's not a second option. It's
panic.
like
That's what
so.
I'm trying to say. That frequency, he hasn't reached that frequency yet because he didn't play long enough with Zoe to for him to morph into that kind of a player. Because Zach have a lot of bad habits, right? Especially coming from Minnesota to his early tenure in Chicago, he developed a lot of bad habits. But Zoe was there to help eradicate those bad habits, and it was working. And we saw Zach Levine scoring some of the easiest buckets of his career. We saw DeMar DeRozan scoring some of the easiest mid-range bucket in his career because nobody could really guard him the way they should, because you have Zach on the wing, you have Zoe pushing pace, you have Vooch roaming around doing his thing. So basically, those guys had to be accounted for, and Alonzo was catching the defense off guard because the defense was in balance because they were scurrying around trying to find people to guard, and the ball was just moving around like it's supposed to when those first 9 games of the season, including the preseason, where Zoe had control of the offense and before they switched it, of course. And they was a plus 12 margin of victory, the highest in the league at that time.
But you know, if they pay Vucevic this summer, you know they can't afford to re up with the Model Rosen unless the Model Rosen take less.
Well, we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when they get there, and we'll start hearing the chatter around the re-signing of Vooch or letting him go, letting him walk. I mean, the Bulls got to this point, and that's what I was saying earlier prior to you getting on the stream, is that why would the Chicago Bulls get to the point where they create a conundrum for themselves and make the situation more perplexing than it should? If this is your guy and you trust in Vooch, pay the man his money. If Kobe your guy, you trust in Kobe, pay the man his money. Why are you allowing all these players to get into an expiring situation or unrestricted situation? I don't understand that. If you feel Patrick Williams is going to be your guy, then play through Patrick. I mean, play through Patrick Williams to some degree. But they keep saying play through Vooch, play
That's
through
why
DeMar,
that's
play
why
through
everything.
DeRozan.
That's why all roads lead to what I said. The next time we see Zoe, it's gonna be in another uniform because they don't know about the player that's actually playing right now on the court. Now, when next year come, you don't know what you getting out of Zoe because you might have to rest him on some games. You have to low manage him because you kind of want him to be good for the playoffs to make a playoff run. But at the same time, it's like you really don't know what you're doing with your roster. So when you look at things like that, it's like, okay, so what's a good plan B? Trade for assets, try to restart, try to revamp. And if you're trying to revamp, you can't do that with an agent now, DeMar DeRozan. So you gonna want to get rid of him. You want something back, but you're gonna want as much as you can get back off him. A team gonna tell him, okay, give us DeRozan, we'll give you shit. Say they won't get Shea Alexander from Oklahoma. They want DeRozan, they want Zoe, they want a couple of picks, and they want Io. You giving that up just as a GM now, not thinking as a Zoe fan,
For
as a
Shea,
GM.
hell no, I'm not giving up for Shea. Shea ain't prove he won nothing.
He averaging 30 a game.
That's so did Bradley
And
Beal.
he's a
I mean,
point
what
guard,
that
and he can
means?
play the point guard position. So
Listen, see,
that
you can't
stall
get
was
caught
Zach
up on
right there.
stats. When you giving
No,
away that much, funk, you can't just worry about no 30-point a game score
but it's
because a
not
whole
that
lot of
much
people do
though.
that.
It's not that much though, because you giving up a 25 a game, 25 to 27 per game score that's aging. You giving an injury prone player, and you giving up a young up and coming player and some draft picks for Shea. A
No,
younger
man,
player.
no, that's too much. That's too
I don't.
much, man. Because Shea is already asking for the bank, the ranch. You
But
follow
he
what I'm
already
saying? The
getting the
guest
bag.
house.
He
That's what
already
I'm
getting the
saying.
bag.
That's what I'm just saying. He already asking for that already. And you gonna give up all that production for one player? And a player ain't won nothing. Ain't ever been in. He been no. Did he go to the playoffs with the Clippers?
Yeah, he going to the
Was he
playoffs
on
with
that team?
no, he going to the playoffs. Yeah, with the Clippers. He going to the
No,
playoffs
he
with
wasn't on that team. I don't think he was on that playoff team with the Clippers.
Yeah, come on, we get traded to the thing, and that's when not shit. Did he? Well, I don't know if he going to Clippers, but I know he going with Chris Paul.
Yeah, he
When
went
Chris
to the
Paul
playoffs
come,
with Oklahoma City. I don't think he went to the playoff
yeah.
with the Clippers.
So why he's saying is that's how the league is. You got younger players. You got young players that you can see. Oh, he averaging 30. I understand.
Mm-mm.
I don't dig
No,
deep in
not
the
not
numbers.
Shea, not Shea. If I'm gonna
They-
get a player that's averaging 30, it won't be from the guard position. It'll be either from the wing or the center. I would
but
trade for that.
okay,
You know
so
what I mean? Not for point
let's say
guard.
y'all
I
don't
don't. You don't need
resign.
that from the point guard.
Let's say y'all don't resign Vuce at the end of the season, right? Boom, he walked. Next season come up, the Rosen. This is last season on the contract. Y'all gotta let him. Y'all gotta either let him walk at the end of the season or treat him by All-Star break.
Well, it ain't y'all because I'm not a
But
Chicago
not, yeah, you know
Bulls.
what I
I'm a
mean.
Laker.
Not y'all, but just for the
Them.
fact, just for the sake of just the conversation with Zoe being and part of that package. You don't think a team could want Zoe?
Of
No.
course, a team could want Zoe, but like I said, why are they? Why are people fixed on getting rid of Zoe when Zoe is the player that got them to the platitude of number one in the Eastern Conference? His
No, but
presence got him there. Zoe was averaging uh, a block a game, a little over a block a game. That was setting the record for point guards for all time. You know that, right?
Yeah, but see, you looking at it from a getting rid of those type situation. I looking at it from a not so much of they trying to just get rid of him. It's just more so of he ain't played a full season and 2 seasons for them. You don't know what you're getting from him. When he come back, he gonna have one year left on his contract that y'all can control. After that, he got a player option. You see
That's
what
what
I
they
mean?
want to see. They want to see if that was Fugazi or for real.
But he got a player option. A player option basically means
Did you hear
if
what I just
I
said?
suck this year or if I injure this year, I can still come back for that
No
last year
panic. Are
on
you
my own.
listening?
Go
I
ahead.
said the Chicago Bulls front office
Uh-huh.
wants to see if that was Fugazi, what they did when they first came together last season, or was it for real?
But
Now,
how
in
would they
order
know
for
without Vooch?
that, that's what I'm trying to get
How
to
would they
right
know
now.
without Kobe White? How would they know with a looming Patrick Williams contract?
Well,
How would they know
Kobe.
about Caruso not being there after that season?
Well, I don't know about
Or Caruso
Caruso
being
being
his
gone.
last
I'm not
season?
sure about that. But with Vooch, when you look at that, Vooch wasn't impactful
You think
in
he a
that
max
first.
contract
It,
player?
hold on one second. Let me answer one question at a time because you asked like three of them. Vooch wasn't that impactful. I mean, he had some up and down games. He had some games where he was the lead scorer, but then he had a lot of games where he just laid a dud. So he only person was really impactful during that first portion of the season last season for the Bulls was Lonzo, Alex, DeMar, Zach. Those were your consistent, impactful players. Vooch was up and down with it,
I mean,
and
he was
DeMar
playing
was
decent. He just been missing them
he
threes.
ain't, Vooch ain't playing no defense. He can get a block because he's 7 foot. All
I
you
mean,
gotta do
he's
is
still
raise
been
his arms. He can
averaging
get a
what,
block.
like 16 and 17 with 14 rebounds, 12 rebounds. He's still been that been his natural
I
average.
don't know. I think that came towards the end. I think in the first portion of the season, I think he was like in the 14 mark.
Yeah, he's averaged like
He was
28, 12.
underperforming. But that's not what they got him for. They
But he
got
on a
Vooch to
team with
be,
some. But he on a team with two of the top 5 scorers in the league at the time.
yeah,
His points
and
were
they
gonna go down at some point.
but they still wanted Vooch to have more production, especially with the rebounds and the
I
blocks,
mean, but he
according
been
to Billy.
rebounding on par. Like he been rebounding 12, 13 a game.
No, he wasn't doing that. That came towards the end when it was sliding.
No, look at the his stat through the first those 20 something games was though he been averaging like 12 rebounds.
I don't know if it was that high.
Even
So
even
I kind of
rebound. Come on, we've been on here talking about it like he
yes,
rebounding
and
the
we
ball.
was
He just
talking about
missing a bunch of
Vooch
threes.
had reached his max and he should be out. That's what we was
Yeah,
talking about. And we
yeah. A lot
watched
of people
every
saying
game.
that, but that's how because he missing all them damn open
He came.
threes.
Vooch came on. Listen, Vooch came on. If I can recollect, Vooch came on strong when Lonzo got injured and
Mm-hmm.
Kobe White became more of a integral part of the offense because him and Kobe White was showing that they had a nice connection, and Vooch numbers start to soar.
And when you talking about his numbers
Because
soaring,
with
it's because
Lonzo, he was
he started
fumbling the
hitting
ball,
threes.
missing the ball. He was hitting them in the face with the ball. I was like, what's wrong with Vooch?
Yeah, Vuce been hitting more threes towards the end of the year. His three ball got a lot better than we've been at the beginning. That's the only thing he been lacking at the beginning of the season. He missing all them, and even a bunch of bunny
And
low in the
yeah,
basket
little
shots he
bunnies.
was
Yeah,
missing.
exactly. Right.
But I
But
mean, his numbers
nevertheless,
still been kind of decent
he
for a
wasn't that
third option.
impactful. That's what my point is.
Yeah,
Vooch
he ain't
wasn't
been
that
as
impactful
impactful as he would be if he been with Orlando still. But I mean, as a third option, I mean,
because he came over as an all-star and
yeah,
he's averaging 14 points and 8 rebounds. Ain't gonna get it.
yeah. But the reason why I say and that's why I say you can add Zoe to a package like that because you don't know what you getting if Zoe ain't played nothing in two
But
years.
that's I keep trying to tell you, but you're not listening. If you are the GM that
Uh
correlates all that talent, DeMar, Io DeSumo, uh, who I'm listening, DeMar, Io DeSumo,
Vooch.
Derek, no, hold on, he didn't, not Booster shit. Derek Jones Jr.
Mm.
and Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. If I didn't say his name, I would assume when you Boots came towards the second half of that before season. So he
Mm.
played with Zach half a season, and then they got all that talent: DeMar, Derek Jones Jr., Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Io DeSumo, surprise in the draft. Some people thought he was a steal of that draft because he went so late in the round and he was making such a great impact as a rookie. So you brought in 5 players that never played together, and you coalesce all that talent to augment into a cohesive unit, and you end up being number one in the Eastern Conference at some portion of that season.
Mm-hmm.
That's exhilarating right there.
That
That
was two
that
years
is
ago, though.
forthright. I know, but this is
Yeah,
what
years ago.
GMs hang their hat on, because remember they get a 5-year window, so he can show the ownership. This was what we did when I initially put this team together, and we got this far in a pet in a COVID ravished season. Because remember, a lot of players was getting affected with the Chicago Bulls with the COVID, right? With the COVID situation. And
Mm-hmm.
so they did that with injuries and being ravished with COVID throughout the organization. They was number one. That is exhilarating to a front office. That is addictive dopamine. And that fueled the ego that we can do this. We just got to get back to being in that alignment and recalibrating with all of those players that got us there. But guess what? They can't recalibrate until that one player gets back. But that one player to get back, you trying to send them off.
And
You trying to send them off into the desert.
when that one player get back, it gonna be parts missing from that same team. So it's
We don't
like
know. We don't know. That's what I'm saying. You can't
so
speculate that just yet.
as a GM, you gonna re-sign Vooch, knowing just now you just said he ain't live up to nothing that he's
I
supposed to
said
live
no,
up to.
no. See, there you go. You confabulate. You putting
So
words in my mouth.
has he?
I didn't
Has he?
say. Listen, Panic. See, don't try to
No,
make yourself right.
I
Let
asked you a
the
question real
empirical
quick.
facts make you right.
Real quick, has he lived up to what he's supposed to yet?
In the second half of the season, in
No,
the playoff, yes.
since he been here, since he been in Chicago, has he
Well,
lived up
I'm
to the
only paid attention to one season for Vooch, and now
No, but why I talking about just the entire stretch since he the half a season he get here to now. Has he
I
lived up to
cannot
the
listen. I only can go by what I've seen. I did not see Vooch when he first got there the second half of the prior
Okay,
season
so
with
so
with
so
with
from what you seen
Zach.
so
I
far,
didn't pay attention to that. I was on the Mellow Ball tip, so I
so
don't know what the hell Chicago was doing.
so
I was
what
on
you
the Mellow
seen
Ball
so
and the
far,
Pelicans.
has he lived up to the Vooch of Orlando, an
The second
all-star
half of
level
this,
player?
listen. The second half of the season and going into that playoff, yes, because
This
he was
season?
tremendous in that playoff.
What about this
No,
season?
this season Vooch is back being up and down again.
Okay, so you proving my point.
No, I'm not proving your point, because you know why he's up and down? Because the administration have yet to give him a vote of confidence. So if you had a job
So
and
you
your contract, hold on, don't interrupt me, just hold on. That's it. Your problem is you're always trying to fight to be right,
No, I
and
ain't
that's
about to
not
say
always the
that. I've been
case.
laughing. I was laughing. I ain't even talking.
If you under contract, right? If you have a job and you under contract and your contract is winding out and you want security and you
Right.
want the company to re-up your contract, but there's no talk being made, how are
Mhm.
you gonna perform? Because you unsure. Are you gonna give it your all? Or are you gonna kind of like, shit, I don't know what these people doing. They ain't told me nothing
Yeah, I'm
yet,
gonna
so
give him my
I ain't
all because
tripping.
they still fighting for a contract.
That'd be dumb of you.
How?
Because the people are listen. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this right here. When you hire somebody, you guessing. Always remember this. When you hire somebody, you're guessing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you fire somebody, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So in between you hiring and firing, there's evaluating.
Mm-hmm.
So when my contract is coming to the point of expiring, you done already evaluated me to the point where you should already know if you're going to give me another chance at being a part of this job. You don't wait till the day it expires and you're like, you know what, man? I think you're good. You already know. So in return, Vooch is probably feeling the same way. Like, dude, you guys still trying to figure this out? This is what I'm asking. Either you're gonna give it to me or you're not. Because if you ain't gonna give it to me, I'm saving myself. for the next team. So that's why Vooch evaluation this season under these circumstances have to be with a crucial and a simplified eye. You have to simplify. You can't make it more than what it is, because Vooch have emotions. He's not a robot. He has emotions, and he's looking to give his family security, while the Bulls are looking to make the organization better. So if they haven't met in the middle based on Vooch's performance, if they haven't met in the middle based on the Bulls' evaluation, then something is not right. And now I'm going to be hesitant in putting it all on the line when I don't have a contract.
See, everything you saying is actually as what word can I use? In sports, just using sports, even in everyday life, whatever. What you just said is not made no sense. Because we see all the time there's a such thing called contract year. Nobody plays down in a contract year, because even if you us auditioning for the next team, you want the next team to feel like he's worth what the other team wanted to give him. So you ain't really performing just for yourself. Because if I work at a company and I see that, you know what, like my contract about to be up, they ain't really talking about nothing. When they don't hand me a contract, and I go to another opportunity and might give them my resume and say, yeah, I work here, and they contact that employee and say, well, how was he? Well, I mean, he one of them people, if you ain't about to pay him, I mean, you ain't gonna get too much out of him. The last year he had him, he wasn't really doing nothing, even kind of lollygagging and blah, 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 and we just got tired of it and let him go. Now the new company looking at you like, oh yeah, we ain't got no year to waste on you like that, or we don't got time to waste on you like that. So you shoot yourself in the foot by not giving you all with one team / company for the next team or for the team that you want to stay on. So Vooch having an up and down season is not so much about him not getting a contract, because if that's the case, he definitely ain't about to get no money next season from no other team.
I mean, that's not necessarily the case. And that
What
did make a
team?
lot of sense.
How
Because
much money
listen,
you think
all
he
you got,
asking for?
hold on, no panic. Why are you doing me the way I'm not doing you? Shouldn't you want
No,
for your
I asked
brother
him a
what you want
question.
for
How much money
yourself?
you think he asking
But
for?
why are you asking me a question when I'm trying to respond to something already? So you convoluting the whole situation when you do that. You might not be aware of it, but that's what that is. Because you're not letting me espouse on what I need to espouse on, because you challenged me on my take. And I'm
No,
trying to tell you,
I respond to your take, and at the end of my
right. You said
response,
I
I'm
didn't make a
asking
lot.
you a
I didn't make no
question.
sense. So that's a challenge. So now I want
Now
to
the challenge
prove
that
that I
asking
made
you,
sense.
you give
That's
your
what you
point of
said.
view.
You said
I
I
don't
didn't make
agree
no
with it.
sense.
Now asking you a question.
You must don't understand how dialogue goes.
No, that is
When you say
dialogue. You,
when you say something like that, you don't make no
uh-huh.
sense. That's a challenge. But you
No, it
didn't just
doesn't, because
answer.
it don't. It don't make no
There
sense
you
in
go
my
again. There
opinion.
you go challenging again.
That's
You can't
all
help it.
it is. It just don't
You
make
can't
no
help
sense
it.
in my opinion. As
You
soon as
can't
I
help
give
it.
my response, my rebuttal, now I got
But
a follow up question.
but when you
Is
say,
that not a
listen, I'm not
conversation?
talking about your follow up. I'm saying that you said you
Uh huh.
don't make no sense.
Uh huh.
Okay, if I don't make no sense to you, well, maybe I need to clarify myself. That's what I'm saying. That's where the declaration of war comes in at. So now let me clarify myself, since I didn't make no sense. What I'm trying to say is that when you use that as a situation, you can, like Russell Westbrook, he's trying to play for another contract. A lot of players be out there trying to pay for another contract. DeMar DeRozan on his last year with the Spurs was playing for another contract, and that's what piqued the interest of LeBron James and the Lakers, but that didn't go well. Everybody that plays for a contract don't necessarily mean they have to give it their all, because some teams are already in line to pick you up if you're not going to resign, because they picking you up on your compendium of work, not just that contract year. That when you play hard for that contract year, that basically means that prior to that contract year, your body of work do not measure up. So you have to show something in this contract year, that whatever happened in the past, that ain't you. That's not your ilk. And Vucevic have shown in the past what he can and cannot do will and will not do.
We about to get up out of here. We're gonna pull back up tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Salute, Flight.
Yeah, appreciate everybody. Shout out No Panic. Shout out Dex. Salute to the chat. Pull up tomorrow. Peace and love to everybody, man. It's Flight Sports.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.